Welcome to the Big Week in Gaming podcast. And what do you know? It's been a big week in gaming. I'm integot for episode 70 for Sunday, the 30th of January 2022. In this week's show, we'll be discussing not one, not two, but three new Star Wars games announced by Respawn, Atari hitting a new low with NFT loot boxes, our 1995 Game of Some Other Year feature on platforming classic Yoshi's Island, and my pitch on how I will save Sony after their acquisition.
Can you hear the crickets in the background?
Yes, I can. After Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Let's go for a third take, boys.
Yeah!
Big Wigs on the radio! Shut up! Let's get
Whoa.
it from the studio!
As always, I'm joined by Mike
Hey, wow, what a sense of deja vu.
and Swinny.
Why, hello there.
Now that we pay you as the social media manager, why don't you promote our socials, Mike?
Damn right. So, you people, gotta point to the camera, better join us on bigwordpod.com as well as any of the big major social platforms. We got Twitter, we got Instagram, we got YouTube where you're probably watching this. We got OnlyFans. We got Pornhub. We got
All right.
channel on everything.
All right.
Come join us, Big Wig Pod. See you there.
I'm fully supportive if you want to do an OnlyFans and Swinny and I can profit off it.
Okay.
Yes. Just don't show us any of the content you put on there. I don't want to know.
I could swing the other way, Swinny, but so we've got no hype, no corrections, and no community. Is that right, Swinny?
wow.
Just zero across the board, just
Did
like
you-
our dignity.
Just
Did
crickets.
you put, because we've been doing a question of the week, anecdote of the week, did you put blank of the week in there? Or did
didn't
I?
write that.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't write that.
I didn't do it.
That's really funny because I was thinking of changing it to blank of the week, and you've changed it to blank of the week, but I must have changed it to blank of the week, and I've forgotten that I did it.
And your mind just goes to me changing it to something that I would not think of.
No, but I just thought, like, what a coincidence! It's amazing.
If it was up to me, that wouldn't even be in the run sheets.
Yeah, I have an anecdote, but it's so bad, I don't think I want to mention it. It's pretty dark. I'll mention it after the show.
Tell us.
No, no,
Bring
no.
it up.
It's about Chinese New Year. So, like, we celebrate Chinese New Year. And there was a conversation. I won't say who, but there's someone had a conversation that it's like, you have to say Happy New Year to get a red pocket. That's the rule, right? With
What's
children.
a red pocket?
Red pocket's like a little red envelope with money in it, right? And that's
Okay, yep,
traditionally
yep,
what
yep.
you give,
Yep,
right?
I remember now,
5, 10, 20 bucks, whatever.
Yep.
And you have to say Happy New Year or Gong Hei Fat Choi or whatever, you know, in Chinese.
Okay.
And the conversation turned to, but this kid is disabled, they can't speak. So I guess we wouldn't give them a red pocket. And I'm like, no, you definitely 1,000% give them a red pocket. Even that's the rule. I think the rule is with the caveat: if they cannot speak, you just give them a bloody red
Yeah,
pocket.
like, is what? Just all throughout Chinese history, if you can't speak, you're mute, you never get a red pocket. Like,
Pretty much. No
I
red
think
pockets for you.
they're pretty
Wow.
brutal. They're pretty brutal.
Wow,
So
okay.
I think we're adjusting that rule. So yeah, I think that's the what do you call it? Like the awkwardness of the week, or
Yeah,
the cringe of the week. The cringe
Do we
of
have a
the week.
question of the week?
No, well you ask one now.
No, I don't have one though.
Oh, you were so good on the stump.
that
last
was
time.
his question. Is there a question?
Yeah, that was my question.
Oh, then I
The
answered
answer is no.
All right, well,
Okay.
let's get into what we've been playing. So what have you been
Cool.
playing, Mike?
So I've been playing a little bit of Yoshi's Island.
What is okay? Like
Which
now, wait. Swinny, do we want to know if he's played how much of it now or in the segment?
Nah, let's just
Well,
wait. Let's just wait.
he just said a little
bit. He
bit. So
did say a little
let's
bit, but
let's
that
wait
could be
until
the
this
end
we
of
get
the
to
week,
the
segment.
this week I played a little bit, but I could have like been at 95% of the way through,
Yeah.
and I only had
Or-
5% left to play this week,
Could not have been.
or maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out. Point is, stay tuned because we're gonna have a segment on Game of Some Other Year, and Yoshi's Island is it.
Yes,
Now
exciting.
the other thing I played is a game from a series that I'm a big fan of. I played all of them to death. I collected every single one of them.
What's your favorite generation?
My favorite generation is the pink one. From Pokemon Pink and Purple.
It's like one of the few colors they haven't
I
used.
have no freaking idea. Anyway, obviously I'm kidding. I'm not a big Pokemon fan. Look, I played Pokemon back in the day, and I played on and off a couple of other of the games, but I think I kind of got a bit over the formula. And for some reason, actually I think I know the reason why, because it was cheap. I decided to go and get a copy of Pokemon Legends Arceus.
I think Nintendo wants to call it Arceus because they don't like the
Arceus.
connotation of
Arceus.
Arceus.
So, Mike, I just
Yeah.
quickly, I just have to ask you. You alluded to it then about why you purchased this. So I know
Yeah.
that A, you had absolutely zero interest in Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah.
B, you thought this game looked like crap in the early
And it does.
stuff, right?
And you've been shitting on it since.
C, you've talked about before that you don't want to buy games just because of FOMO.
Yep.
So what?
Yeah, I totally broke
what
all those
drove?
rules.
No, other than it being cheap, like surely it wouldn't have been cheap.
okay.
But there's
Okay.
plenty of
No,
games
no.
that are cheap.
No, it was. I know. So honestly, it was a challenge. So I wanted to find out if it's possible to go to Target next door to EB Games, buy 2 copies of FIFA 21 for $5 each, then take it to EB Games and buy the game for $29.
And there's
I
no
just
other
wanted the
games.
challenge. I wanted
There's no
the
other
challenge.
games you could have proven that on, or was it only this
Not
game? that
2
had
games
that?
that cost $5 each.
No, you
So-
could have, because they were doing
Like
that
what?
deal for Horizon Forbidden West. It was like
Yeah, shit. Maybe I should
$49.
just use it for that.
Elden Ring was 29.
Wow, I used
did
it
that.
on this piece of shit instead.
Anyway,
Whatever.
I am looking forward to
So-
getting your
Yeah,
impression.
what's your
Okay, look,
impression?
so- okay,
You're
so
going to
here
do
are
a
my
whole
impressions. Now-
impression segment, but you've now bumped it down to a
Well, I had to
bouncer
bump it
segment.
down because I only played about 4 hours according to the in-game counter.
Oh.
And I think it's not really enough to give full impressions because, look, good things and bad things about this. And all jokes aside, I think I bought it because I wanted to check out Pokemon again. So I haven't played it properly for quite a few years. And the reason being that I always felt it was kind of the same formula, very similar look and feel. Whereas this is meant to be fresh and new and different. And yes, it's fresh and new and different from what I've seen, but I'm the worst person to compare because I haven't played the previous title in the series. So all I can say is, from a game perspective, with no vested interest in the Pokemon world, I don't have an affinity for Pikachu, couldn't give a shit less. I don't care about the whole Pokemon thing that much. So I'm hoping, to some extent, I have more of an objective view of the game itself. And it's hit and miss. It really is. Like, I see some really cool things about it. I see some gameplay loops that I think could be really, really fun. But I also see that, honestly, from a world perspective, and I'm not going to even call it the graphics, because the graphics are pretty shit. I'm going to call it from a world building perspective. It feels so empty and lifeless. It really does. It's seriously, it's like someone took some... It almost feels like an asset flip of a game with Pokemon included in it. I shit you not. That's how it feels like to me. So, look, all I can say is in the 4 hours that I played, I enjoyed parts of it so far. I think I'm going to keep playing to really get the proper experience before I put this game down. But it definitely is not my kind of game. And one big mistake that I think that I made is I played Disco Elysium just before this. And
That's a tonal shift.
it's a massive tonal shift. It feels like I'm playing a game designed for 6-year-olds, basically. The dialogue is atrocious. The world is atrocious. But again, it's all relative. It's because I played Disco Elysium, and going to this, it just feels like I'm playing a kid's game. I think a lot of people
Which
are going
you
to
are.
love this
It is a
game,
kid's
which
game.
really I am. I know that, but I know that there's a lot of
Legit.
adults that are really into this, and I can see why they'd be really into this, but it clearly is not my thing. I'm gonna see if I continue playing with it, if it keeps intriguing me, but at this point, yeah, it was a mistake. I should have just gotten Zero Dawn instead. Anyway, that's it. So, Integot, what about you?
Well, just on this game, though, I think one thing to flag is it's different for a Pokemon game. But that doesn't mean it's a very different game. I think for someone who's been playing, Gen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc., then this game is like, wow, this is a total, shaking up of the formula. But, if you actually put them side by side, they're still very close together. The battling works roughly the same. It's probably not that much of a change for most, folks like you. It's just like, oh, okay, this game's okay. It's not necessarily the greatest game of all time or anything like that.
I don't get the reviews, man. It's been reviewed really, really well. I mean, look, different horses for courses, but courses for horses,
Horses
whatever.
for courses.
But but yeah, just it's different things appeal to different people, and this shit just does not appeal to me at all. It really doesn't.
I mean,
And
you know, the
I
reviews
know
are
now for a fact.
they're reflective of the commercial nature of the reviews and also human nature as well, right? It's like they'll allocate the person who loves Pokemon to do the Pokemon review. That's
Yeah.
what IGN did.
Which kind of makes sense, I think.
Not having a go at her at all, but like she loves Pokemon, like to death, right? So of course it's like if you give Swinny like the latest Assassin's Creed, he's gonna like it a lot more than you and I. Right?
It could also be more critical though, but
But I think generally you wouldn't be, right? Like I think you're already into the series and everything like that. So that's always going to skew the numbers. But that's why, like, you know, it's important to have different voices. So,
yeah.
but would you say it's a bit of a mindless game, like a good you know, like I like these chill out games where it's just like, oh, okay, I don't have to use my brain that much. I can just like live in that world.
Yeah, so far. I mean, the part that you have to use your brain is just to remember what type of Pokemon is effective against what other type. Other than that, so far in the last 4 hours, it's basically just been a bunch of fetch quests. I mean, when you think about Pokemon, Pokemon is a giant fetch quest. It's go fetch every single Pokemon in the world.
Yeah.
And then within that, though, this is what I hate about games like this is like who the F actually even writes these things? Every single character so far that I've gone to, oh, can you get me one of these things? Can you go get me this? Oh, can you find 3 of these things? It's so uninspired and dumb. I don't even get it. No, it actually shits me because a big franchise like this with so much money behind it has so much potential to innovate and create a really cool, rich world. And if I think about a game like, you know, Swinny and I were sort of briefly chatting, Xenoblade, or which was on a previous platform no less, or if you think about something like Monster Hunter World on the Switch,
Monster Hunter
that
Rise.
world is Monster Hunter Rise. That world is so much richer and detailed, and you actually want to kind of go and explore and see stuff. Whereas this just feels like it literally feels like something, and this is ironic because I know we didn't do any games last year, that a full-on amateur developer could put together. It really feels like that. Anyway, enough of that. I don't think people want to hear more about it. But
I've got a question, Mike. Would you rather play this game or play Harvest Moon One World?
oh, this is definitely better than that.
Okay.
No,
just
you know
checking.
what I hate? I'm playing this and I kept remembering that game. And that's a problem. It's a freaking problem because you know how much I hated that game and how much I thought that was just such a shitty attempt at that kind of a game that it's sad that I'm playing this and it keeps reminding me of that game as opposed to reminding me of something really cool. And by the way, I feel like they were trying to get inspired by Breath of the Wild in a lot of instances to the extent that some of the noises that the main character makes feel like a full-on rip. And when you actually throw a Pokemon at a tree, for example, to collect the items from the tree, the sound that it makes also reminds me so much of Breath of the Wild.
You throw Pokemon at trees?
Yeah, you have to. So in order to collect stuff from trees or stuff,
No, that's
stones
fine.
and whatnot, you got to throw a Pokemon.
It's a bit
at
different,
it. Yeah.
Swinny. Like the Pokemon
Waiting for
can
a
attack
Pokeball,
your
but yeah.
player, and your player can take damage.
Oh yeah, no, I was just
Yeah.
wondering. Just the idea of
really
like
different.
throwing a Pikachu at a tree was just very humorous. to
Well, you
me.
throw the Pokeball, and then Pikachu comes out, and then he
Who?
buzzes the
Pikachu.
tree. Pikachu. He buzzes the tree, and
Okay,
then
fair enough.
the shit falls down from the tree.
Swinny's like, I don't want to
Yeah.
really hear this, but
No, it's just like, did he mean to say Pokemon? It's
Yeah,
just
look,
like
I don't want
the
this to be-
violent act of throwing like a Pidgey or whatever at a tree is just humorous.
That would actually be kind of funny if they did that. So anyway, look, give it a go if you want.
Not really.
Not my thing. Yeah.
I think I already know I'm just not gonna like it. I'm actually looking forward to playing because I've got the analog pocket, playing the original Pokemon Crystal with my kids if they're into it.
I think
If
I'd
you're
almost
into it.
prefer those for some reason.
Oh yeah, well, I mean they're just simple games, right?
You should have got the remake of the ones they put out recently rather than this one.
Yeah, I didn't like
Live and
the way
learn.
that they were running. I know they're Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I think they're called. Yeah, I didn't like the way that they looked or ran. So, but anyway, that's why I skipped them. For me, a lot of GOSOY games, so Earthbound and Chrono Trigger, man. The not even old school. I almost, we'll cover it next week when we talk about it, but I need your opinion on that kind of stuff, Swinny, with RPGs and grinding and stuff like that. Fuck, it's driving me nuts. Yeah, Monster Hunter Rise, so I rolled credits on that.
Ooh,
That's a
wow.
freaking cool game, man. Like, I'm so glad I paused on that game, came back to it. Thanks again for Capcom sending through the PC code. And like...
And the goodies.
Yeah, and the goodies. Yeah, that's
Oh
true. I
man,
didn't really
that
have
was
that stuff.
sick.
Yeah, we'll have to chat
Payola.
on it next time.
Payola.
Well, it's being honest, right? But yeah, that game's a friggin' awesome game. Like, I know that you guys have already played Monster Hunter World, but the mobility of the wire bug and everything, it's just so sick. And I just kind of looked at it, and you'd be happy with this, Mike. I was like, you know what? Like, I don't need to play more of it. Like, I could seriously spend another 100 hours playing that game, but it's not going to be, you know, anything revelatory. You know what I mean? It's a good relaxing game. Like, you know, you get good at it, so it's just kind of like you're just in the zone and you don't have to think so much, which is cool. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move on. I'm going to retire it and put it down. I'm not going to 100% it. I'm just going to say that's enough. And, you know, maybe I'll play Monster Hunter World next. Death's Door, I flagged last week. I was playing that. I retired that game.
Retired.
Retired.
No, this new
that game.
term, retired, is an interesting one.
Well, I mean, Monster Hunter Rise, I don't even think I finished that game. But yeah, I retired Death's Door because I didn't continue. It's just like...
just
eh.
makes
Meaning
me
you're not
think
interested in finishing it?
Just
or-
makes me think F-Zero, you go off the track and retire.
No, it's more how long to beat. They have that category,
Oh,
retire.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Just Death's Door didn't grip me that much. Like,
Okay.
and I'm
That's
just
fair
kind of
enough.
like, honestly, I just don't have that much time to game. So I need to like be so optimal.
I swear, I need to put a swear jar for every single time you say that in a podcast episode.
But it's
and then
true. I've
By
like,
the end,
Yeah.
we'll be able to go out for dinner.
And
when
I
COVID
say it
off.
offline a lot, so...
but you have a lot of time to game. I literally
don't,
have like,
actually.
you
I
don't.
don't.
What do you do?
I
Like,
have a lot of things going on.
We
I'm
need
not
to-
going to talk about them on the podcast, but...
Yeah, I
Personal
wouldn't
shit.
say I don't like the idea of downplaying someone else's. It's
I-
like my time is more precious than yours.
can do that.
You've got more time than me.
You know why I can do that? Because I didn't have kids. Now I have kids. So I realize
Yeah.
I had so
Okay.
much fucking
Okay.
time.
You
I
do
had
that.
time
You
out of
do
the wazoo. I didn't even fucking
No,
realize.
I have time. I'm just I'm in a point at the moment where I can't allocate all the time to games like I could before.
I
There's-
hereby
there's
dub
other
the
things on my
episode
list.
Time Poor Part 2.
Do okay.
So yeah, Death's Door sadly retired. I did want to mention it as well that they show the DualShock symbols. If you have a DualShock controller, everyone needs to do that on PC. I get
That
so
is cool.
pissed when
They
I
should
see
do
like
that.
press A.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have a fucking A button on a DualShock controller. My new game, mindless game that I picked up is Hyrule Warriors Definitive Editions.
thought you'd already played this
Yeah, I
game.
thought you played that to death. I thought you
Get it-
retired it.
Get it
No,
right,
Mike,
guys.
already.
Mike,
Get
no,
it right.
Mike.
I played Age of Calamity.
No,
Hyrule
no.
Warriors.
Oh.
Indigo, that's not what I'm asking. I thought
yeah.
you'd played Definitive Edition.
I played
Okay.
it a bit, but I want to do more in a more. on
Okay,
it.
no, yeah, I knew
Right.
it wasn't Age of
You're
Calamity.
on
we're
it.
talking
You're on
about.
it. You're on it. And Age of Calamity is definitely the better game. So if you're gonna get one of those games, I'd get Age of Calamity. But it's a cool game. It's just a mindless game. You just go in, kill 1,000, 2,000 enemies each turn. It's just madness. It's awesome. And the big thing that I want to mention this week is that I actually went back to Mario Rabbids. So
Oh yeah, this is cool.
I'm a huge fan of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
XCOM rabbits.
And I always had the DLC, so Donkey Kong Adventure DLC, but I never went into playing it. So I'm like, you know what? That's there. I feel stupid I literally have 2 copies of the game because of it. I got the regular copy with no DLC. Then I've got a copy that had the DLC included in it with the idea to sell the other copy, and I never did.
That's funny because I own 3 copies of this game and I've never played it. So
This
Wow.
game is so good, man. Like, have you played it, Mike? I can't remember.
Yeah, I have. I
Okay.
enjoyed these kind of games.
It's
I
so
really
cool.
wanted to get into it, just wrong time to play it.
Yeah, don't have enough
It's
time.
really cool.
I understand.
You got,
But-
dude. If you only have a few hours a week, you gotta pick your games. You gotta
Pick
pick,
your
your
battles.
battles.
Pick your battles.
Which
Yeah.
is why I play shitty Pokemon. That I
And
hate.
speaking of battles, this is like a very good introductory tactics game without being insulting. That's the way I look at it. Like I hate when people go, "Oh, this is baby's version of a tactics game." I don't think it's that extreme. And the ultimate challenges at the end of the game, they're challenging. Like they're good fun. Like they, no walkovers.
So Donkey Kong Country in the main? Sorry, Donkey Kong a character in the main
No,
campaign?
not at all.
Okay,
Not at
so
all.
he's new in this DLC.
Yeah, so it's funny. You've got like and this is the way that I love when people do DLC. You've got the main game, and then you can independently start this DLC, and it's like a different campaign, not necessarily totally attached to the main game. and you have to build up your skill tree and everything independently. So the only carryover character is Rabid Peach. Other than that, you can so with Kingdom Battle, the main game, you can pick like up to ballpark from memory like 8 characters. So like Mario or Rabid Mario, Luigi, Rabid Luigi, etc. Whereas this is Donkey Kong, Rabid Cranky, and then Rabid Peach. Like they're the main
Rabid
characters.
Cranky.
Yeah. And
awesome.
and like if you haven't got this game at all and you enjoy tactics games, I'd highly recommend getting the because they have like the Game of the Year edition or whatever it's called that comes with the code for the DLC. DLC is awesome. Like I'm not sure if I'd pay full dollar for it, if that makes sense. But it's freaking cool. Like I started playing it last week and I finished it this week, and it's probably like about 10 hours long, which is also a really cool length.
So was this to help towards your resolution of your completion percentage of the games that you bought?
No.
Okay, so it's just a random. You're like, I'm gonna play this random.
I can't show it on camera, but
Huh?
like I'm
Did you just play a game just because it's fun and you enjoy it?
yeah, not for the show, not for
What?
anything.
No, it just felt like a random thing to like. You hadn't brought it up at all, so I thought you kind of went out of your way for that reason. That's all.
What I would say though is I probably could have bought some other game. I was gonna start playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps because I loved the first game. And I will get to that, but I looked at my Switch library and I'm like, I gotta get more, like just gotta get through more of the backlog. Like there's a whole bunch of games coming out this year. And like last year was, for me, kind of light. Like there's some games, I'll be into, but this year there's genuinely like it could be like up to 10 games. And I'm like, shit, I'm probably gonna end up playing it and or buying. That I'm like, wow, I've got to like stop buying games because I know I'm already going to buy those games and just start getting through the backlog. But on that, Swinny, I do have the question, like, should this contribute to my total in the numerator as a game that I finished?
I think that's up to you, really.
I don't know. I'm a bit torn on it. I was thinking almost like a half game. But
Why
then
half?
I can't buy half a game. So.
I think if you own DLC, then maybe it makes sense that it like if you don't own the DLC for a game, you've already completed your collection. You don't have to go buy the DLC because it don't, like I think if you own the DLC, I think it makes sense. But also at the same time, it's your resolution. If you, I honestly that resolution is such a. I was thinking about it the other day. Like I'm like, could I actually do that? And I literally couldn't do that. Just
Really?
like, but just literally look behind me, right? The amount of games there that I haven't played is insane.
No, but the resolution is like the amount of games I'm buying versus the amount of games I'm playing. You're not still buying games that outweigh the amount you're playing. I reckon you'd easily do the resolution.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll add it as half a point because I did specifically buy this game a while back, and it is independent, so it's an awesome game. Like Swinny, have a crack just playing the first part of the game. It's a really fun game. It's a really fun game.
I played the quite a bit of the beginning parts of the game, and when you say that I actually think it's almost more complex than something like what I remember XCOM used to be like. So I clocked XCOM.
Yeah.
I think I even clocked the original XCOM way back when. And I almost think that had some certain parts about it that were simpler in a way than this game. So it's not really like an introduction to this genre. It's quite in depth with what you could do with this game and the strategy behind it.
Yeah, look, like I love the battle system of the game. The only thing I would say is most tactics games allow you to be either an aggressive player or a more defensive player and build up your position, things like that. This game all out pretty much pushes you to offense.
Okay.
And if you don't, you'll start dying all the time. So in that way, it's like more one-dimensional. Also, just with the character mix, it's way, it's pretty much impossible to stuff up. Whereas in other games like Fire Emblem, you can go get too many of one type of unit and you really screw yourself up in the late game. Whereas this doesn't have any of that. It does have more dynamism than a lot of tactics games with the interaction between your team, which is awesome. Like you can, in Donkey Kong Adventure DLC, you can actually pick up other characters as Donkey Kong, move, and then throw them into a different position, and then they can then move from there. So it's like becomes very tactical as to like who you like. It's almost like you need to follow the same pattern of like moving Rabid Peach then Donkey Kong, and then Cranky can bounce off other characters and stuff. So yeah, it's awesome. It's a really, really cool game. Awesome DLC. I totally understand why it got like 85 the main game and like around 82 on Metacritic, which is fairly decent for a game like this. So, but yeah, Swinny, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so just like you, some GOSOY stuff, replaying Chrono Trigger for the first time in, God, probably since like 2000.
Wow. That's awesome.
Replaying, Yoshi's Island as well, of course, for the feature this week. But the game that I put easily the most time into, and God, was it a lot of time, this week was RP Golf Legends, or RPG Golf Legends, or
RP Golf,
however you want to say it.
Can I just say quickly, Swinny, before you go on, that I was listening to another podcast where they brought this game up, and they literally had the exact same conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
How could you
everyone
not?
who says the words are like, fuck, how do you say this?
Yeah.
RPG Golf.
Yeah, so basically it's, I mentioned it last week, Zelda golf crossover, basically. So it's an action RPG with golf elements. I was going to go into it a little bit more depth this week, but I may actually end up reviewing it next week. Simply because we had a lot of features this week, so we just want to make sure they have get the time they deserve. But the one thing I will say is that I spent so much time in this game because I had an experience I probably haven't had since I was a kid, which is not knowing anything about the game in terms of its secrets and finding everything. Obviously I'm playing the game, but I'm also hunting to get all the achievements. There was no information about this game anywhere on the internet. So I'm checking not only the forums on the Xbox side, but also the PlayStation side. And even on the PlayStation side, people are like, we don't know where all this stuff is. I start posting stuff on the your true achievements. People are referencing what I'm saying on the PlayStation PS profiles.
Awesome.
But when we don't have, neither of us have accounts on each site.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm referencing what they're doing and they're referencing. And I did end up finding all the secrets, and I, helped the community back by putting a lot of the information up there on True Achievements now. And it was, it was good. The first time I've got the first completion in the game, so I was really happy about that. But
so you are the reigning Kemco champion now.
I am now the reigning Kemco champion, and I think the other person probably still would have had the same difficulty I would have had to find everything. But also, this game is $45, which is $20 more than any other Kemco game that comes out. It's not made by Kemco; it's made by ArcticNet. But so a lot of money. So that person's probably like, I'll probably get this on special. So
but this feels different. This doesn't feel like a typical Kemco game.
It's nothing.
Seeing it.
Game.
Yeah.
So they're just publishing it. Like saying a Kemco game. Yeah. Anyway, I'll reveal it next
create.
week.
It's not an EXE
It's not an
create.
EXE
But they didn't
create,
make it, so that's
No,
not surprising.
I will come back to this next week.
And now the drama is, where's it going to end up on the tier list? This is the intrigue.
Exactly.
This is the hype. There is hype for this episode.
There's Kemco hype. We actually say the word Kemco this week. So the other games I've been playing, so there's 3 of them. Some of these I played last week, but just, there's only so much time we can dedicate to everything we play. Some Game Pass games. So as part of my resolution to try out every new game that's added to Game Pass that I haven't
you're
played.
interested in.
No, not that I'm interested in. It's just the exception is I'm not playing EA Sports titles when they add those in.
Okay.
That's the only exception. I'm playing one of the games on here I had no interest. I still played it. So, all right. So the first game is a game called Paparazzi. So this game actually, when I started it, I was like, this actually game looks pretty cool. It's basically like a Pokemon Snap, but you got free movement, so it's not on rails or anything. You go around these different levels, and you got to meet different objectives by taking photos of dogs. You got to I didn't get too far into it to see how crazy it gets with that, but the concept is actually pretty cool. But the one thing that I couldn't get past. So last week I talked about the game Ember and how the controls were bad. I played this game right after Ember, and the controls are even worse. This has some of the worst controls I've ever played in a first-person game.
On the other hand, it looks better than Pokemon.
But how does that... I don't understand how that's possible.
It is so bad.
Aren't they using Unity and stuff like that?
I was reading other people talking about it. They're like, it just feels so unoptimized for consoles. Who knows how it plays on PC or whatever, but... So it's a shame because the game actually had a bit of charm to it. But honestly, look, it's probably not my kind of game, even though I do like Pokemon Snap. But I think for some people would enjoy it. And hey, Mike, it's got a double jump, so you have to play it.
It looks
Wait,
like...
do you unlock it at the start or you have to wait?
It's at the start.
Cool.
It looks like,
Sorry,
like a VR game. Like, it looks like it should be in VR. Like, I can't get over these games. I wonder if some of these games are developed for VR and then it just doesn't have quite the audience there, so they're like, shit.
Maybe. So the
Probably.
second game that I tried is Windjammers 2. So this game has been in development for a long period of time. It's been delayed for a lot as well. And it's a game that I've always been keen to try the first Windjammers. So the original Windjammers came out.
Hit, man.
Yeah, massive cult hit, huge in there's a huge community in France for Windjammers and stuff. So if anyone doesn't know, Windjammers is a 1994 game by Data East, and it's basically like competitive, almost like frisbee pong, but that doesn't do it justice in terms of how much depth there is. It almost plays like a fighting game, and it's actually. There's a bit of crossover. Like there's people in the fighting FGC that actually really like Windjammers because it has that level of depth, and the characters have different super moves and stats and stuff like that in terms of how they play. So it's something I've always been wanting to try. And then obviously Windjammers 2 comes out, so I'm like, well, I'll jump in here. And this game, it's a bit beyond me. Like there is so much going on, and I think that I really need to sit there and actually just learn it more because it is one of those games where you get overwhelmed by the CPU so quickly. If you just like, you watch the tutorial and still I'm like, man, I just don't really understand the kind of flow of this. But I can look at it and I understand it's actually really, really cool, right? So it's, I think, a game that you need to probably, unfortunately, spend a little bit more time than you would most other games for it to click with you or for you to understand the mechanics. So.
I feel like that... People, don't come after me about Windjammers. I don't care if you do, but I feel like that is a definition of really good design, right? Where, and my example always with that is Rocket League. Rocket League's a game where I've looked at my videos of my first few hours of playing Rocket League, and it's like you're competing against people at your level. Everyone's grounded. Everyone's hitting the ball, right? But there's a wealth and depth of mechanics that sit underneath everything you're doing. I didn't even know you could shoot the rocket and fly in that game, right? And I look at it as kind of almost bad design of like games like this where there is such a curve at the start of the game that you feel like you can't even engage with the game early on. It's like you have to break through this barrier to actually even start the enjoyment of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like Dark Souls.
And I think it's a game I enjoy watching. So I'll probably watch people, especially streamers or like sites that I like to play and stuff. But the third game, the last game that I'll talk about, is a little game that came out in the last couple of weeks that no one's talking about, called Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction.
Why didn't we play this together?
We can't.
Yeah,
we can't call it quarantine. It's officially Extraction. Well, look, it was out of the Game Pass, so I had to give it a shot.
I'd play it.
Oh, begrudgingly.
It's
Because
a co-op thing. We would play it.
Yeah, so look, I wasn't going to play this co-op. Fuck that.
That's what it's been built
I
for.
just
Ain't
wanted
sweaty
to.
got time for that.
No, but the point is, like, I just wanted to just taste test the game and the mechanics and stuff.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to get out of it
RPGs.
because that's the point of my resolution is to just try games out. Right? It doesn't mean I have to sit there and play them enough. Honestly, I'm not giving it. I'm not reviewing these games. Right?
Yeah.
So
Fair
look,
enough.
it's got really cool mechanics. I can't tell exactly which are lifted directly from Siege and which are brand new. Obviously, like the whole alien stuff and everything, is new as a standalone game. I know it came from, I don't know if it was called Outbreak or whatever the mode limited mode they put in Siege that led to this game. It's just not the kind of game I'm looking for at the moment. Like anything that's just like this kind of like where you're replaying levels and ramping up the difficulty for rewards and anything to do with like unlocking character skins. I'm just not really interested at the moment, but it looked cool. Like
Microsoft is interested in that.
It plays really well. Like mechanically, it's just not a game I'm really looking for at the moment. So that's all I'll say about Extraction.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really weird game, right?
We should try it.
Feels very much appealing to a very strange audience who would like to play Siege but do not want to play online against other people, but do want to play online with their mates in co-op. It's like kind of seems a bit strange. Feels like a weird version of
Something
Siege.
I'd play though.
The thing though is that it absolutely reeks of this is a game that they're going to implement that, and we'll get to this soon. their whole quartz system and the NFT cosmetic bullshit. Like this game is like ripe for that. It's almost like there's menu options you feel are just literally about to appear when they're ready for it.
You know what? You know what? It's one of the reasons why I reckon I stopped playing games as much. I genuinely am fucking pissed at the fact that so many of these games are not made for the sake of making a good game or making a game that is really enjoyable for the experience, for the not just the experience of the people playing it, but the experience of the developers. But it's designed purely with that in mind, and I'm fucking pissed. I really am. Like, I don't know if I can stress it enough.
Mike,
the way the industry has gone is just fucked up.
Well, Mike, there's a segment coming up soon where we get to talk about this.
Oh
where
yeah,
you
shit, I forgot.
Where you can
I'll
play,
bang it out then.
where you
Okay.
can play to earn. Let's just keep that term in mind as we get into a future segment.
Maybe Integot's got a bit of a hot take on that one. You know, in the
Oh,
words
okay.
of the great Sir Troy Baker, you can
Yeah.
hate or you can create. Mike, you can hate or you can create.
That is true. Well, yes.
All right. Any other games you're playing, Swinny, or should we move on to the news?
Other games, but let's move on.
That was an awkward answer.
You asked and I answered.
What
So
else you
I'll
played?
say it again.
I
Is there
wanna
any
know.
other games you want to talk about, Swinny,
Yeah,
or
what
should
else
we
did you
move on to
play?
the news?
If there are other games I want to talk about, but let's move on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
So EA and Lucasfilms Games have announced 3 new Star Wars games in development at
Nice.
Respawn Entertainment.
Double
So,
nice.
number 1, the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Number 2, Star
Game's mad.
Wars FPS, an all-new FPS. And a Star Wars strategy game. So this joins the Star Wars Eclipse game that's being developed by Quantic Dream. At least 4 Star Wars games in development. And who knows what's happening with Battlefield, or Battlefront, I should say. I think they've
5
bumped
Star
up.
Wars games in development because we've got
Holy
Ubisoft. Forget the studio, but the Division Studio is also working on Star Wars
Hey,
game,
we could add a
Oh, wait.
6 because the Lego Star Wars game's not out yet.
Maybe
Yeah,
actually,
that counts.
actually, maybe I'm wrong on that one. Let me look it up. I know
So-
there's another Star Wars game in development. I think they're working on Avatar. That's why I was getting confused.
So going back to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, very well received game, you know, in the context of EA getting their ass handed to them with the Star Wars license. One of the games that, you know, got past that level and people were very happy with. So the game
Really
director,
good game. Really good game.
Stig. And what style of game is it, Mike?
A Souls-inspired Metroidvania like Bloodborne
Excellent.
game.
Sorry, I'll just confirm that is the case. So they're working on Star Wars and Avatar. So I wasn't wrong. So.
Cool, cool.
Oh. And the game director, Stig Asmussen, and his team at the studio are already working on the new title. In the Jedi... What is this in the Star Wars Jedi series? Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, so that's why
Yeah.
I highlighted that, which is weird to me because, like,
So this is like Horizon.
yeah, like I never thought of this as Star Wars Jedi. I know it's like Jedi Fallen Order,
Fallen Order, yeah,
but
yeah.
like to think of the series Star Wars Jedi is weird because that's to me like
It
Jedi
is.
Knight and stuff.
No
you
one
know?
has ever
Yeah.
said Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. They always go
Yeah.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
or just Jedi Fallen Order. You know?
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
there's never a pause after the Jedi.
yeah.
Do we know much about what? So this kind of game would be awesome if it had some more RPG elements, like the older Star Wars games, but with this kind of gameplay, because the gameplay was freaking awesome, really solid. And the other thing though that I hope they do in the next one is a bit more choice about whether you want to be a badass Jedi or whether you want to go more into the Sith. I feel like your path was too determined and linear in this one, which makes sense because of the kind of game that it was. So I'm hoping in number 2 they open that up again because they were sick about some of the older games.
I think it's always hard to do that well. Like there's a weird line with that one.
It is, but I have faith in Respawn. They did a really good job with this game. I love playing it. I kept getting drawn to finishing it. It wasn't like one of the games that you had to retire because you got bored of it. This was an excellent game. I loved it.
Yeah, I've never really heard bad things about the game. Like the biggest thing is like people go, yeah, it's really good. Like really, really good. That's the worst I've heard. With the Star Wars FPS, an all-new Star Wars first-person shooter game led by Peter Hirschman, the game director at Respawn, who has a long history with the Star Wars franchise. If you look through his bio, there's a stack of Star Wars games there. So we don't know anything more about it than that, right, Swinny? It's like...
No, but I mean they gave us 3 announcements at once, so I don't begrudge them
Yeah.
for not telling us more about it. it is like when I think Star Wars first-person shooters, obviously you got your Battlefront and stuff like that. But I do think, wait, is Battlefront first-person shooter? Or is that third-person, Mike? Is it?
No, it's first person.
It is first. Okay, right.
Yeah.
For some reason, there's
I
part
think
of me
you
that's
can
like,
because
set it
if
as
you play-
third person.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and
anyway,
also
I just
yeah.
didn't want to be wrong on that. But I think
Yeah.
I think Dark Forces Jedi Knight, to me, that's like when I
Yeah.
think FPS. But
We're so
big,
old.
the big part with this, while they're, actually no, it's the strategy one we'll get to in a second. But I mean, Respawn's bread and butter is first-person shooters. They're obviously their lineage from Infinity Ward and Call of Duty onto Titanfall and Apex Legends and everything. So if anything, it's going to play incredibly well. So
That's true. And then, as you touched on, the strategy game. So the third title is a strategy game developed in collaboration with the new studio Bit Reactor, helmed by industry veteran Greg Forrest.
some names in this episode. I
Forrest.
feel sorry
Forrest.
for you.
Forrest. I feel like that's the best way that I can say.
Yeah.
So they'll produce the game, Respawn, and Bit Reactor will lead the development. So, and I'm excited. I know everyone hates Quantic Dream, but I'm excited about the
don't.
Star Wars Eclipse game as well. So there's a cavalcade of Star Wars games coming out. I mean, like, I think I'm gonna get in on the Lego Star Wars game, man. I think I'm getting in on that game.
So the big thing out of this to me is, oh my god, the absolute like confidence that EA have in Respawn. You know, obviously Fallen Order was very well received, sold a lot, but to then go and essentially say you're working on 3 titles now, even if you're not solely developing one of them. But the side reports, there's reports out there saying that they're essentially moving any work that was potentially happening on a Battlefront 3 is now no longer happening. Basically, it's like this is essentially a Star Wars at the moment, which is kind of nuts. It's all under Respawn. So
Yeah, because we should just remind the audience that EA had an exclusivity deal with Star Wars essentially to make games for. I felt like 10 years, but it must have been shorter than that. I think it was like 7 years or something like that. And that is expired. But even so, Star Wars and Lucasfilm Games and EA seem to still want to do a lot of business with each other, which is interesting. Because I think some people's view was like, you'll be lucky to get Jedi Fallen Order 2 following the expiration of the exclusivity agreement. But yeah, look, it just seems to maybe they've opened it up to more people, but they're still pretty happy with EA. So and Squadrons was a pretty good game as well. I played a bit of that. Like, I really enjoyed that as well. So there's been some decent Star Wars games recently. Yeah. All right. In other news, we have a new Blizzard game in the works. So Blizzard have announced that they're working on a brand new game in a world different from any other they've created. So the company shared the news on its website this week, along with several job ads. Did you say wait?
Yeah, this looks like World of Warcraft.
Mike,
Did they
just Mike. Sometimes we have generic B-roll to give people something to look at.
I know. I'm putting
as we're
some
talking
lighthearted
about.
commentary in here. I obviously know that.
So we should do training. We should do improv training, Mike. So it's
Okay.
like there's the thing in improv. The first rule of improv is yes and. So whenever you see things, it's like, yep, I'm going with this. There must be some sense to the B-roll instead
I know
of
there's a
the
sense.
no, but this is not the right B-roll.
Yes, but maybe the audience
not
would
yes,
also
but
like
yes, and.
some light
Yes, and.
entertainment.
No, yes and.
Where they go, ha ha ha, that's funny. Because that's clearly not a brand new game. That's that game I've been playing for the last 20 years of my life.
So you go yes, and I love this B-roll of this new cheetah game they're working on.
It's World of Warcraft for anyone that's not watching the video.
Yeah, that's the other thing with Mike. He thinks only people
yeah.
watch the video. Half the audience listens to the podcast. Poor bastards. So there's been several job ads shared on the company website. They're hiring for art, design, and engineering roles on the project. It'll be the first new IP since 2016's Overwatch, which is a huge hit. Before that, their last new IP was 1998's StarCraft.
It's crazy.
Wow.
But that's like WoW was in there. I know that
Yeah.
Warcraft, but yeah, I kind of almost look at WoW as a new IP, but I get then maybe that's the
I
right
think
Oh
it's
answer.
an
yeah,
IP,
like
yeah.
But the thing is, like, you've got things like Hearthstone and Heroes of Storm. Like, that's all
Yeah,
their
true.
existing IPs kind of bundled into one. Like StarCraft I mean, StarCraft was born from the ashes of, what was it, Titan, the MMO that they were getting off the ground that was in a new world, and then it turned into Overwatch. So, but they're not a studio that's that well known for bringing out new IP.
Yeah, that's
very
true.
often.
And that's like
So-
Nintendo, right? Like Splatoon before ARMS was the latest that they'd put together, like a whole new world and universe of characters. So the game joins Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal, and I do own a phone. I can download that game. Warcraft mobile projects and Overwatch 2 in the studio's pipeline. So Blizzard on the new game. Quote, "We are going on a journey to a whole new universe, home to a brand new survival game for PC and console." Not any specific console, just the word console. And
Well, hang on. PC and console, not consoles. So
yeah, but console can be plural
Huh?
in this context.
Well, I don't know. I have a feeling it's console, Xbox. That's it.
No, because when you just say
Singular.
console, it's like the whole genre of that hardware type, I think. But yeah, I like
And
where you're
yes,
going. I like where you're
that's-
going.
Yeah.
You're saying I'm doing a no but. And then also quote, "Do you like survival games? Do you want to join a collaborative team of experienced developers at the early stages of a new project, sign NDAs, skip that, in a new world and help write the next chapter in Blizzard's story?"
No.
So when I bolded the "Do you like survival games?" I didn't realize I mentioned survival game in the first one because I was
that's
like,
all right.
okay, that's like the key point is that obviously it's a survival
I
game.
have a feeling they're making a survival game.
So with this news, I'll just jump in here. I've read a lot of people talking online about why wouldn't they make this a survival game in IP they already have, in Warcraft or StarCraft. And I'm like, you want them to
Yeah,
you don't-
innovate.
Yeah, exactly. Like you
Something
want
new.
new worlds, like new stuff. Like why do you want the same thing?
Well-
You know what would happen is
People like
they
what's
announce
familiar.
you announce it's a StarCraft survival game or something. I'm not saying that's the best fit. I'm just saying as an example. People are gonna be like, that's not what we wanted. We wanted StarCraft 3 or some bullshit like that. You're only going to piss people off. Like, give it a chance to actually create a new world, new IP, bring new value to the company from a business standpoint. Sure, it might not work, but it's Blizzard. Generally, they've got a pretty damn good track record of launching new IP
Overwatch.
when they
Yeah,
do. So
that was brilliant.
Overwatch
don't
for a
understand
studio that never made an FPS to make a game of that quality and having a few weirdness with it, but like for that to be their first try is ridiculous. And they have actually some of the best artists in the industry. Like so many people went to work at Blizzard just because like some of the best artists out there because of the depth in their art department and just all the stuff they did in that space. So I'd be like all for a new IP. And to be honest, like people like me who are like, I don't know, I'd almost not play a game in the Warcraft universe because I feel like I'm so detached from it.
Yeah, same.
I always felt more likely to play Overwatch because it's like, okay, this is a new thing from them. I can jump in on this. This is not a 30-year journey that I need to go through to not be, judged by other people. So, but yeah, like, do we think it's going to be like Valheim or like those type of survival
Yeah, I think it's going to be
games?
like New World. Only probably
New
not as
World.
bad because it's
Okay.
not made by Amazon.
But
Is
New
New World a
World's not
survival game?
survival, is it? I think it's more MMO.
Well,
Is it
I
survival?
reckon this is going to be a survival MMO, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, it
Well,
will
I would
probably.
classify it as a survival. In
No,
that
I
sense.
think
New World.
Valheim is on the money
More
where
Valheim-y?
it's like there's multiplayer, but it's not an MMO in its traditional sense. It's more like instanced like things where it's smaller groups of people, and it's more PVE as opposed to like PvP stuff. Although who
don't
knows,
know.
like Rust and those kind of games are very PvP orientated. So.
The term survival is a bit loose as well, so I have no idea where they're coming from.
But
We'll see.
you,
I'll
but
be
you
keen
get
to
the
see what-
idea. There's going to be crafting involved. There's going to be like
crafting and economy.
management of potential hunger and stuff like that. So meters.
Yeah. Survival games just feel like a lot of work to me. That's why I never
I'm
really
the
like
same.
They do
I'm
feel
the
like a lot of
same.
It
work.
just feels like fuck. That's a
It's-
lot of work. That's a job.
I don't mind them if they're not MMOs. Survival games as an MMO, I get put off now. But if it's a survival game where that's just your experience and you play it by yourself and you play it to just survive and explore the world, I think it's really cool. But the moment it's got that multiplayer element, they're gonna milk your time. That
It's gonna be a multiplayer.
You're just gonna
game,
go
man.
on and on and on and on, and
It reminds me when I did I don't know if it's called hardcore or survival, whatever, but the mode in Fallout New Vegas where you've got hunger and like sleep,
God.
and
That's
it's like
kinda cool.
You can beat it like once you know how in like 25 minutes. So I'm like mainline it. I don't eat a single thing. Just mainline the whole thing.
Boom.
Screw the survival
It's
part.
like a Coke at the start of the journey, and then just
Pretty much a
a
Nuka-Cola.
Nuka-Cola.
Now, like going back to the console part, I mean, like I said this the other week that, you know, I've observed companies that have been acquired or in the process of being acquired, and internally, man, people just put things on ice. So like work still goes on, but strategic decisions around like, okay, are we gonna go PlayStation exclusive or be on multi-plat, blah blah blah. I can see the conversations right now. Before anything's been announced, they're just like, don't say anything. We don't know.
That's why I
We
said
don't
they
know.
put console in, because console is ambiguous.
Yeah, no,
They
I
can
think
always
it's-
come back and say, no, we said console. We didn't say consoles.
Correct.
Well, why did you misread that as consoles? Otherwise, we would have stated the consoles or something.
Well, console can mean
It's-
plural and singular. That's why
Exactly.
it's a
It
good word
could.
to use.
It could, but I think it's brilliant to use
Going
it
back to that
because...
discussion.
Well, no, I think it's a very fair point. They don't know that. I actually, I'm not even kidding around when I say that. I do think they're in a position where they don't know. They don't really know what's going to happen with this. Because
Well,
it
it's
might well
not,
be
it's
that
not going to
Microsoft...
PlayStation. It's not going to PlayStation.
No, it's not going on PlayStation.
Zero chance.
100%.
But the law, this is the interesting thing though. Legally, Microsoft cannot put any pressure on them to do that. Legally, they need to act like an independent company, right? So legally,
Like they will.
you know, I'll call this out because Blizzard have never been singular platform like PlayStation or Xbox in this manner. They've always announced we're going to be on PlayStation, we're going to be on Xbox. That's what they said with Diablo 4, right? So it's actually super dodgy in a way that they've said console because they've never done that before. If they're going on console, they're going everything, like all the modern next-gen consoles. So the fact that they've done that, it's obviously influenced by the deal. But, you know, it's one of those, you know, unwritten rule thing, I think. So, but yeah, how many years away are we talking? This is like 2026?
Whoa. Why even announce it this early?
Well, it depends. It depends if they decide to like launch in like a game preview early access format, like a lot of these survival games do. So I could see it being like 2025 if they do that.
But that's not, the way that this Blizzard does it is they do the early preview, but they call it a 1.0. And they go, here's Diablo 3. We'll spend a few years working on it in public. So, no, so when you
Changed
say,
heaps since launch.
why, like your question though, Mike, before we go on to the final story, that's going to get us all animated and angry. Why do you announce these kind of things? Honestly, it's get talent in. It's like at the start, you know, talking
Yeah, that
about the
makes
job
sense.
ads. It's,
Yep.
you know, and there's probably people out there who are like, okay, cool. Now that Microsoft, you know, people's mind, it's already bought. It's already done deal. It's not, but that's how people think of it. They go, oh, well, Microsoft's bought it. The culture's going to get better. And now they're saying there's a brand new IP. I can jump in and create things. I can like
whole new world,
put my
yeah,
stamp
yeah.
on a company that is famous for its art. So I think like that's the biggest, you know, draw of it. So I would imagine they're just at pre-production, like at the grey box stage. So this,
Yeah, that makes sense.
4 or 5 years away. They take ages to make their games, Blizzard. So
Especially at this kind of scale, I can imagine. And it's good. Take your time.
take
Do
your
a
time.
good game.
Mike
Mike
says
won't
take your
play
time.
No, well,
Yeah,
who
Mike will
knows?
never play
Who
it.
knows?
Exactly.
Maybe, unlike every other game that they've ever made, it won't be like that. Who
I look
knows?
forward to like episode, you know, 380
300,
when we're talking
yeah.
about this game, and we'll come back to what you said.
I'll be like,
Give us,
I hate
give
this
us,
game, but I bought it and I played it.
give us a Blackthorn survival game. Come on. Anyway,
Maybe on the
concept
film.
art does not look like Blackthorn.
All right, well, to our last story, and this is a doozy. Atari is celebrating its 50th anniversary by combining NFTs with loot boxes. So, just as a side note, we have been avoiding NFTs. We'll give our views, like all our thoughts about it, but we've been avoiding it pretty much. And you know, there's some big stories that have been coming out, as Swinny said earlier in the show, Quartz with Ubisoft. But when Atari, you know, a lauded brand in gaming, one of the top brands, it's a totally different company now, but brands, comes out on their 50th anniversary, combining an NFT with a loot box. we just had to bring it up. We have to finally crack this nut. So they're teaming up with Republic Realm, one of the most active developers of the metaverse and NFT ecosystem.
Jesus.
Wait, let me get through it. To sell off a collection of what is being dubbed GFTs. So the announcement follows modern Atari's other well-documented ventures, which include Atari Token Crypto Coin and Atari Hotels.
Before we get too far away from that
Yes.
sentence, the term or the sentence,
I love
one of the most active. What is the word active? How do you quantify that? Is we
Just
have
doing shit
the
out there.
most articles on the internet.
No, we're
about-
creating metaverses, baby.
metaverse?
We've got 50 metaverses. Our metaverses have got metaverses to each other.
That reads almost as ambiguous as Mike's resolutions last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe I should go make some NFTs.
Where did that come from? Damn, he just fucking boom goes the dynamite. Man, that's just uncalled for. That's disgusting. Shit,
Sorry,
dude.
We
Mike.
need, we
Sorry,
need an
Mike.
asshole meter
Oh,
that we can
he's-
keep track of summers and overlay,
So-
and you can go ding, and it just adds to the counter. Ding, adds to the counter.
I'm 99% sure I said to you guys, if we had an alternative podcast, it's like two assholes and a dickhead, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe I just said that to Swinny directly. I can't remember. But yeah,
No, you
that is the
about that.
true asshole. That's the true
Wow, you're such an asshole, Swin. You should go make NFTs.
NFTs.
It's a next logical step in your asshole evolution. I think.
non-fungible
Alright.
Ds. Anyway,
I'll come back next week with my new FT, NFT.
so before
NF.
jumping into this, Atari 50th
Mm-hmm.
beautiful celebration, so a couple of things that we've got to dive into a little bit. So the first is, what the hell is an NFT? So non-fungible token, the idea is a representation of something on the blockchain that can't be, removed and is ensured that it can be transferred to other people. The idea of that could be anything potentially, but at the moment, usually digital art.
It's
And-
almost like a digital receipt for something.
Yeah, and this is where, and maybe we'll just jump straight into our views on it. So, and maybe you guys should go first, because I'm probably going to have a contrary view too. So, but yeah, Mike, you love NFTs. Like, what do you,
yeah, love
what do
them.
you think about all these companies offering NFTs?
Oh,
for
totally
everything?
love them. I think, as someone who loves to see the world burn, and as someone who's totally 100%
Joker.
against humanity, freaking hate all of you guys. I think it's brilliant. I think it's the quickest, best way to kill us all off and do a global reset and let the animals roam around freely and do their thing without
The
our
apes,
intervention.
let the apes take
Yeah.
over with their.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be Planet of the Apes.
So
is that
I'm
what you're
totally
saying?
pro NFTs from that perspective. Yeah, just let them do your thing. NFT this planet to hell. Seriously, I think it's fucking stupid and I hate
You
it.
guys
And
heard about the Elden Ring NFT they're doing?
what?
no, I'm fucking with you. I just wanted to see your reaction.
I would have seen that in my searches yesterday. Oh my god! Unless it was
Yeah.
announced an hour ago.
No, that's what I was trying to insinuate. It's just been announced. How about you, Swinny? What's your overall view of NFTs?
Okay, so look,
And how many do you own? How many have you gassed?
gassed. That's a term now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's
It is.
the term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus
Don't
Christ.
you know? Oh my
Guess
god,
on
you don't know the
planet.
gas fees?
All right, so just speaking like a bit broad of an NFT, like just blockchain technology and
Yep.
and the everything to do with that, right? I'm very ignorant or very much a novice in when it comes to anything to do with like the cryptocurrency side of the blockchain stuff and everything like that. So I'm just getting up front that if anything I say is probably going to be wrong, right?
Yep.
But look, I don't discount new technology just because it hasn't found a good use case yet, right? So I don't think blockchain inherently is like a useless thing or it's a solution. At the moment, it's probably a solution. What is it, like a solution looking for a problem kind of thing? People saying with NFTs, but blockchain technology in general, I could see that there's potential use cases you could use that even in the gaming side. I don't think we've seen it yet. A lot of the people that are talking about this at the moment, some of the best use cases I've heard, but it's something that just doesn't make sense from a business standpoint, is things like decentralization of digital licenses for games. So I have a digital game, I could potentially share it in a marketplace with people, and
Yep.
things like that. And that who knows how the hell that
And that would never
would
happen
ever
in a
work
billion
well.
years, but yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's
Yeah.
use cases where I think it would make sense for the consumer or for the gamer. But at the moment, all the cases I've seen, and NFTs included, it doesn't feel like anything that can't be achieved through other means. And obviously, anything to do with blockchain or NFTs is loved by like shareholders, and we've got some notes there about the fact that Square Enix talking about this earlier in the month. Their share price went up by like 8% or something, but to me, I haven't seen a use case that makes me go, oh, I actually that makes sense to me yet. But I'm not discounting it. When it comes to anything to do with like this stuff we're about to get into with Atari, of course, it's this fucking terrible shit. But the technology itself, I'm not discounting.
Okay, interesting. So different.
No,
views.
by the way, I'm with Swinny. I don't inherently the blockchain, the idea behind blockchains and the idea behind the technology. I'm totally not discounting either. Well, it's utilizing a blockchain. It's
correct.
Yeah. So I'm not inherently against it at all. Much the same way that I'm not inherently against something like cryptocurrency. What I'm inherently totally against is the fact that it's completely, well, most of it, 99.9999% or whatever the hell you want to quantify it as, it's just speculation. And to Swinny's point, a lot of the applications are completely nonsensical, and it is absolutely just a solution looking for a problem, as opposed to, and what I think, if you strip it down a little bit more and you look at it from blockchains the way they originally were thought out, and the usage of those blockchains, I think you only need to really look at the fact that, number one, it's extremely costly to actually transact with the currency themselves at the moment, relatively speaking. Number two, it fluctuates way too much for now to still be usable as a proper currency in that sense. If I buy a cup of coffee now, I would like to know its inherent worth of $3 or $4 and not expect it to be $10 the next week or 50 cents the week after. And one of the other big issues that I have is, in terms of market cap, the two, last time I checked, I don't know if this is still the same, Shibu and Doge were in the top 10, and they were both literally created as jokes. One of them, a joke of another joke. Now, if that is not the pinnacle of what a load of shit this entire thing is, and the fact that it's just speculation and people jumping on a bandwagon, I don't know what is. When people are literally jumping on the bandwagon of something that got purely created as a joke. Now, that's not to say it can't be used for other purposes, which and there are, when you look at it from the perspective of cryptocurrency itself, there are really, really good use cases, and there are actual cryptocurrencies. There's blockchains which have the associated cryptocurrency that are really freaking awesome, that are actually really practical, and would be really cool to actually see them being implemented. The problem is it's all overshadowed by this unnecessary bullshit that ultimately the biggest thing that I have against it is it just fucks the environment up. It's that we're literally contributing to the destruction of the species because of some fucking idiots that have a completely selfish interest in this whole thing, and then a whole bunch of other fucking idiots who are just sheep, let's face it, jumping on the bandwagon because they don't want to miss out. That's what it is. By and large, that is what it is. And the market is crazy manipulated by a bunch of individuals, and then everyone jumps on top of it. Everyone jumps on top of it without actually really seeing the inherent value in some of this stuff. And it is actually sad because some of this technology is freaking awesome. It's got a really cool use in the real world. It's been completely perverted by speculation. So that's where I stand on this whole thing. But
yeah, no,
Integot.
so there's a few different things there. I think the cryptocurrency, I'll probably put that into a different category. That's kind of like a bit separate to what we're talking about. I think the environmental thing is the biggest problem with this whole space. And
that's my biggest issue.
I should also put my cards on the table to a degree here, because I think it'd be unfair to the audience that I actually ran and was involved in a Bitcoin company a long time ago. So this is even way back in the day. I've always been super interested in the space. I used to work at a pretty serious place. We were talking about Bitcoin internally in 2010, right? So this is back when it was $1. Right, Bitcoin.
That's how he buys all his amiibos, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
All of you guys are wondering, he's cashed it all out, and
well, back then, in our apartment, we could mine 1 Bitcoin a night on average, right?
Damn.
They're worth about 40 grand now, US. So I just want to put that out there because I think to context is important from where people are coming from. But look, I think I'm surprised that like I think we're all rough. Like there's a spectrum here, and I'm more on the other side of it. But it's way closer than I was expecting. So, like I think the execution of these NFTs it's funny to me. It's dumb. Like honestly, like there was the Aboriginal flag, right? Recently has now come back into the Australian government's domain.
How much did we pay for it again?
There's a scholarship and all this other stuff that we've set up because stupidly we've got like an individual to make the flag and that became the flag. So then that individual owned that copyright. But how's this? Did you guys know this? He sold the digital rights to the flag on OpenSea. Right, so now there's this question of like, has the Australian government actually bought it all back? I mean, it's a legal question that is going to have to be discussed at some point. It's going to happen, 100%, right?
What is the moral... Anyway, then let's not get into it.
Yeah, park all that, right?
Yeah,
But
park
all
all
I'm
that.
saying is like it introduces a whole raft of interesting issues. But fundamentally, though, like what underlies all of this stuff is, the whole point of crypto at a very fundamental level is not having a controlling entity who owns the source of truth, having that decentralized, right? That's a massive change. That means that banks aren't as needed because, they're all like trusted entities. So you deal with the trusted entity, right? If they fall over, it's like, oh shit, they've fallen over, too bad. But if you have a decentralized way of doing that, you can actually have a lot more trust in the whole system because there is no one in particular you have to trust, right? Everything's public. So, like, I do think with time, these kind of things like smart contracts where you can, sell and buy your house on a blockchain and remove all these middlemen in the process and all the cost that's involved and all the deceit and also like the drama that can happen in that space, right? I'm super excited about that. Now, bringing it to gaming, it's super disturbing to me what's happening in a way that people aren't, I think, seeing. And Swinny brought it up a little bit earlier, but the whole drive of NFTs in general, man, the biggest thing that's going to start happening is this play to earn stuff. This is like where people are missing the forest from the trees. This play to earn stuff is going to be, in my prediction, like 5 years time, it's going to be like microtransactions. It is going to be so fucking massive. And that is going to be the driving force behind these economies. And it's going to be huge, Mike. Like, so this concept of being able to prove that I've played a game for like 150 hours and I've generated some kind of token in that world, and then I can transfer this token for some other digital item, skin or whatever, and then transfer it. And all of this stuff, by the way, is going to have secondary markets. And there's going to be people transferring like, Call of Duty coins for, Rainbow Six coins and all this other shit. That's all going to exist in 5 years' time.
So I was going to say, and that concept is real right now because Ubisoft Quartz is, I think it's Ghost Recon Breakpoint has something like that right now, where it's like 300-400 hours basically. It's don't think of this
it was
as
600 hours for the mask.
don't think of this as something that's too far in the future. It's happening right now.
But all I'm saying is it's like, when I think it was Bethesda who were like the first people to really promote microtransactions with like horse armor, right? But think about how much that's changed from then
How far
to
we've
now.
come.
You know what I mean? Like people thought it was quaint or something. Oh, it's just cosmetics, right?
We were sweet summer children back
Yeah.
then.
We were, man.
And that's where I think that the insidious part of this stuff is like, it's almost, it will get to a point where it's like you have to earn. So you play to earn, but you might have to also like, play to earn, and then that will be the unlocking of more game. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like
I know
you
what
have
you
to
mean. I
play
know, yeah.
the
I can
game,
accept what
prove
you're
that you
getting
play
to.
the game, and then actually be able to play more of the game. It opens up more of that universe in the game.
Because why
as
play
well.
a game for the joy of playing the game when you can play because you have to play to get
or you
something?
can monetize
So,
the people. So
Maybe can I, because it's incredibly relevant, can I just bring up what Square Enix talked about?
yeah,
that
yeah,
specific
definitely.
thing?
Yeah, because
So-
we want to go through some of the examples of some stuff that's been happening recently.
So basically, back around New Year's, the CEO, Yosuke Matsuda, they pledged their support for NFTs, blockchain technology, and gaming and stuff. But I grabbed some quotes. Basically, he said, "I realize that some people who play to have fun and who currently form the majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these new trends. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute." By which I mean help make the game more exciting. So as you said, more content.
Bitch, please.
there's potential to enable a self-sustaining game growth by pushing a play to earn concept.
Yeah, it's
This is a CEO
Yeah.
Square Enix.
no, dude. Like,
Your sticker can go eat a giant bag of dicks.
you know, because I'm a business person, right? I'm a businessman, and like, I can see bringing the community, bringing the gaming community into the process of actually like building out the game and locking them in, like in this way of them feeling like they've literally got investment in the game, is so powerful. Like, I've been reading a lot more about this whole play to earn, like the ideas and the future of it, potential future of it. I'm like, shit, this totally reminds me of microtransactions. It feels like microtransactions on steroids.
It is absolutely microtransactions.
Yeah.
It's the next evolution of. But that's the funny thing. You give someone a finger and they'll take your hand. You give someone a hand and they'll, I don't know what the expression is right now, they'll gobble your entire body. And it's exactly like that. That horse armor is brilliant because you knew from that was the genesis. That was Pandora's box being opened when it comes to this kind of bullshit. That all it was is slowly and slowly and slowly more and more of that. And I think, personally, if you really look at the bigger picture, all this bullshit does is it creates a society of slaves. No, it does. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Of people who are hooked onto these games because these games are created with that in mind. They're created with the idea in mind that you need to spend your entire freaking existence in there, which is why you get quotes, and we'll talk about this in a sec as well. They keep referring to the metaverse. They keep referring to locking you into this virtual reality because fuck the real world. And you know what? It's gonna work. This is the problem. It's gonna work. When you look at the greater society from a bigger picture view, you have more and more people that cannot even afford their own housing. They're perpetually renting. That in itself, I think, is a form of being a slave in many instances when you can't even afford to have a proper roof above your head that you can actually call your own. And I think it's going to push more and more and more people that have to basically be part of the system, do exactly what they're told to do, because they have zero fucking choice. And those very same people will need escapes from that bullshit reality that they have to live through, because the real world sucks, and it sucks even more for people like that. And they will resort to going into these virtual worlds, which is why I think, sadly, whether we like it or not, this bullshit metaverse is probably going to succeed. And stuff like this is going to flourish in a system like that. And you will basically earn whatever you can in your real world existence to put back into this bullshit. And it's sad. It's extremely sad. As someone who is so not into this kind of crap, I just find it such a bleak dystopian future for a lot of people. It really is.
It's like... I can't. Sorry, sweetie. It's hard for me to see how there's going to be a positive side of it, given what's happened with mobile gaming. Like there are people, like studios out there, who tried their fucking hardest to make a really decent mobile game. They release it, and there's some examples, right? And then no one gives a shit, right? Because the biggest mobile game is just fucking Candy Crush, and it's just like play
bullshit.
But it's not. It's actually not mindless in a way. It's very active, like with giving you dopamine and getting you hooked, and then hitting walls and going, oh, sorry, you can't play now for no reason. Just like you can't play now, but if you want to pay a little bit of money, you can play a little bit more, right? Like it's so like transparently predatory, so transparently predatory, right?
Perfectly legal, and people fall for it all the time.
And like I'm kind of on the same page as you. I'm not really like this normally, but I think this space is going to go down a very scary, dark path because there's going to be a bunch of people who are hooked in this stuff. And getting back to the play to earn stuff, and I saw someone comment on this, and I'm like, I always believe in hearing different voices, even ones that I don't agree with, because it challenges your views. And someone was like, one of these Web3, you'll hear this a lot, right? Web3, NFT people. They're like, Microsoft has acquired Activision Blizzard. What people are missing is like $68 billion went to that company. But hey, the gamers should be getting some of that money, right? Like they should have like had some ownership in the game, in the studio. And I'm like, fuck, this is where this play to earn shit's going to come in. They're going to create like an economy within the game that has like value of what people perceive. And yeah, maybe that will happen in the future. Maybe if someone tries to buy a studio, the players will get some benefit of that. It's very dark, man. Like, and going back to one of the questions that we had, around like why blockchain and everything like that, it's because the companies, it's efficiency. The companies do not want to have like some crazy database where they all agree and transfer shit and everything. Fundamentally, they want to get to a platform where they all can like interact with each other, because they want to, like, the metaverse thing is going to happen, but it's going to be a land grab. Whoever wins, everyone will have to plug into their world. So like blockchain's actually perfect for that stuff as an interim step. So
All I know is that when I did that feature on Roblox Gucci theme, like the hellscape that I imagined in my head of like a Roblox community economy thing plus NFTs plus battle plus season passes.
yeah.
Man, it's a dark potential future there. It's like that of Batman vs Superman when you see like the flash forwards to like the apocalyptic world. That's
totally
what it looks
is,
like
man.
to me
But
right
but
now.
like one thing, and I'm very optimistic in the long term, there'll be awesome
I'm not.
studios churning out mad games. That's what's always happened, Like we've had this era of like microtransactions, battle passes, everything, and there's been amazing single player games being released, So it's still gonna happen. There's still awesome multiplayer games. It's just there's gonna be a huge dark community. And like, I don't know, we never cover mobile gaming. That's the biggest part of gaming. By dollars and players. So
That is, yeah.
yeah.
But
they'll have this.
what I find also interesting about all of this is I think there's a very small percentage of people that actively really want to do this thing, if that makes sense. From a really personal, passionate, they think it adds a real positive thing to it. I think if you look at all the individual players, it's kind of like I'm gonna equate it to a certain part of Germany back in the 30s, in the
Let's be
1930s.
careful.
Well, no, where people kind of just they didn't feel they had a choice at some point, because you work for a company like this. You have to, the shareholders that you have to
Critical
contribute
mass.
to. There's money that you got to make. Shareholders don't even fucking understand the technology to even understand they just go, oh, there's money to be made in this. Perfect. You get yourself so deep into this shit that you can't even get out of it, that you have to keep digging that hole and going down this path more and more and more. That I think there's very few people who legitimately believe in the movement, and not so much believe in the movement, believe that it's got a positive outcome to the gaming industry. And anyone who says they are, I think they're just fucking full of shit. They're just trying to make money out of it.
So can I ask, do we even care about talking about the Atari GF?
Let's do, yeah, because it's the point. I think we should. It's going to be a long segment, but we held for ages, so...
We've already gone into darkness, but we should just go through this quickly. So this is Atari's 50th anniversary, and this is how they've chosen to celebrate the 50th anniversary of a brand. This is like the first console I had, the Atari 2600, right? And then they've got the commemorative GFT collection. I want to skip down to like the part where this is unbelievable, all the shit that they have. So as a joke, I was gonna buy Mike one of these GFTs, right, and send it to him to piss him off, right? Then I started to read in, because I tried to literally buy it, and I'm like, wait a second, I need to actually, and it goes down, and Swinny sent this to me, and I thought someone had made this to joke about the concept, but they've actually done it. That you need to get whitelisted on the store. It's already full. The whitelist is done. Like there's been people.
I'll just say we mentioned it earlier, but GFTs basically it's NFTs you can gift other people they don't know what's in there. I just wanted to re-clarify that. So
yeah, and to be fair, they've actually published the rarity table. I think it's a part of the smart contract to be able to distribute it. But yeah, so you have to get on this whitelist. Then there's going to be get your GFTs. GFTs will be available to buy for a lucky friend or for yourself. Then there's the GFT reveal, where they'll unwrap on a special date. You can chat in the private Discord and trade with other holders. This is some dark shit, man. It's just unbelievable. So I didn't even understand all this shit that was happening. I don't even think they necessarily understand. But you've got the Atari CEO, Wade Rosen. So quote, the Atari brand is synonymous with video games and video gaming in the backbone of the metaverse. What better way to commemorate Atari's 50th anniversary than by ushering in a new era of technological innovation while also honoring the brand that launched the modern video game industry? ?
Can I just say something real quick? May I just interject real quickly?
Yeah.
Hey, Wade Rosen, can you kindly go sit on a pineapple and twist, you fucker?
So I included this thing because we talked about it. We had it in like Minute Mike or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where back in October is when the CEO started, and it made a point back then to say that they're pivoting because Atari's been doing all this crazy shit for ages, right?
Yeah.
They're pivoting back to a focus on video game development. Nice pivot there. You pivoted
Yeah,
360.
beautiful pivot. It was literally a 360 pivot, yeah. And what's with pivoting? It's a new corporate fucking buzzword.
Pivot's a great word.
Pivot's
Don't-
awesome.
don't-
Yeah, but dude, it's
Pivot is awesome.
no,
After
but
my pivot.
everyone uses it. Oh my god,
Pivot
And-
is not a new
oh,
word, Mike.
It's not a new word, but it is absolutely overused. It wasn't two plus years ago.
All right.
Very few people were using
Anyway.
it. Now
Anyway.
every single person's using the word.
All
We
right,
got to
all
pivot our
right.
strategy. Oh, we got to pivot this.
So mixed views amongst us around NFTs. Probably not. It sounds like all of us are not fans of the current incarnation.
No
Oh,
thanks.
no.
I do think there could be something interesting with it, but I think there's going to be a lot of darkness, you know, in the short term to medium term. And I my view would be there's going to be one or two or even three publishers, not studios, publishers that go hard in this space, and it's like
Yeah,
basically
Ubisoft.
they're going to be lost to me. You know what I mean? Like imagine this
Oh,
whole
Ubisoft are dead to me. Yeah.
Well, imagine play to earn in the Assassin's Creed Infinite or whatever it's going to be called.
Oh,
It's
I'm
like-
just waiting for like
Jesus.
Take Two to jump into it and
Yeah.
all these publishers. It's yeah.
Activision, but well,
GTA
Microsoft
6
might have a word
online
about that.
play to earn. Like it's just
I hope not. Come on,
really see how
Rockstar.
this shit's gonna go.
It's,
But all right, well, we finally covered NFTs. Hopefully, we don't cover it again. And I'm sure. Let's be real. Like the villain of the year by the end of the year, I'm calling it early. It's going to be NFTs, surely.
Oh
It's
yeah,
I
Wade
can't even
Rosen is
We're
the
one-
villain behind the villainous.
We're 1
things
month
of the
in,
year.
but it's going to be hard to topple that. We know.
Jesus.
Commemorating the 50th anniversary of Atari for GFTs, loot box NFTs. It's unfucking believable.
Dude, it's so unbelievable. It's so comical that I'm like, is this a joke?
Is this real life?
Is this actually real?
It's Atari.
But like,
Atari.
are they just? Is this a big gag as a joke or
I don't
something?
know. I don't know. It's funny. All right. Well, that wraps up the news. But the way we like to wrap up the news is by getting Swinny to go through all the rest of the week's news, stuff that we're interested in, stuff that we want to mention, but we don't have that much of an opinion about. We can't really offer much more than hard, cold facts. Now, each week, we increase the words that Swinny has to say by one until he fails. If he fails. I'm not assuming he's going to fail. Maybe the podcast is going to end before he's doing 300 words per minute.
Anything's possible.
not a good,
Maybe he will
sign to say
succumb
that.
to the powers of the
Yes,
NFT.
he's got to channel his inner Eminem, rap god style, and just, Crytek have announced that, who knows. So I believe in you, Swinny. You've been doing well so far. You're going really hard in the paint with this at the moment.
Yeah, I'm
So-
impressed. I think it's really good.
And as
I
always, go on, Swinny.
No, I realized that just before the show, like 5 minutes before, like we were doing our pre-show, that a whole bunch of stuff was missing from this because I took it out to add into our like NFT segment.
Awesome.
So I'm like, I had to go and find more stuff to add in
More stories, more words. So
to get to 185.
for the viewers at home, I do need to have some kind of like tick or something when it gets to 5 seconds. But like that'll be work for me later. But Swinny has been going really aggressive early. That's his new strategy. He's not letting any buffer. I've noticed this. So keep
He
your
won't
eye.
even tell you when he starts. It just bam.
Well,
straight
that's the way it
into
goes. He has to do it, and then I have to switch. That's the way
Yeah, but
this game
there's
plays.
a delay, right? There's a delay. So
Well, it's minimal.
he gets
minimal.
like an extra second in
All
there.
right, give him an extra second. So whenever you want,
Shut
Swinny,
up, Mike.
whenever you're ready, Swinny,
I'm just
it's up to
bitter
you.
because I lost.
Crytek have announced that Crysis 4 is in development. Naughty Dog have not ruled out more Uncharted games. Evil Dead the game has been delayed 3 months to 13th of May. W Games claims that Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy is still on track for this year. Activision have reportedly committed to 3 more Call of Duty games on PlayStation. Death Stranding Director's Cut's coming to PC on 30th of March with a $10 upgrade. 32-bit classic Power Slave Exhumed is getting a remaster from Night Dive Studios next month. 3D platformer KO the Kangaroo is getting a sequel this year. The Steam Deck will have dynamic cloud saves, allowing seamless PC, and handheld play. Microsoft Flight Simulator is getting DLSS support in future updates. Ubisoft are shutting down their struggling Battle Royale Hyperscape in April. Sega are quitting the arcade business in Japan after 56 years. The Rock claims he's starring in another blockbuster video game movie. A NetherRealm employee has leaked the existence of Mortal Kombat 12. And MK legend Ed Boon is being inducted to the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
You like have like 9 seconds left. This is going to go on forever. This.
Oh my
this segment.
god.
At some point, I'll just be like, oh, I'm over this. I'll just read it slow.
That's how you get off. No, you got to make it believable. You're trying.
Sorry, I'll just say before you're about to mention something. Power Slave Exhumed. Like we had a mate back in high school that loved that game,
Oh,
so
wow,
it's
really?
awesome to bring it back because that game's almost like it's like Doom with Metroidvania elements to it.
What console was that on? Sorry.
Well, it was on I think it was PlayStation, Saturn, and PC, but a lot of people think of it as a PlayStation game.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember who this person is.
I literally don't remember this game at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's Egyptian themed Doom, basically.
Oh yeah, dude. I know who you're talking about. I know which friend you're talking about. I used to watch him play. He never let me play it, but I used to watch him play it, and
So
it looked
I
really
believe-
sick. Yeah.
It's called Power Slave and Exhumed in
Scan.
different territories. So for the remaster, they're just calling it Power Slave, like
Oh,
colon
Exhumed.
Exhumed.
Okay, that's much better.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Man, I haven't seen this for so long.
All I was gonna
Wow.
say is like the Steam Deck, man. I'm like, fucking. When is Valve gonna say when we can buy it in Australia?
I know.
Like, order it, man.
I know.
It's like the old days. It's like waiting for like a Nintendo 64 for a year and a half. It's unbelievable.
Maybe Kotaku should write an article about it. When is the Steam Deck coming to
Australian
Australia?
tax. We don't
Dear
know.
readers, we don't know when.
I was surprised that they actually did that. All right, well done.
Look, to
Swinny.
be fair, by the way, just quickly on that, to be fair, they are probably struggling, and I think they do need to worry about SEO shit. So,
Okay, well, I don't know why you have
to
to
be
give
fair
them
on them,
concessions,
I
but
can see
that's-
why they. I don't think it's a real concession. I think fuck that practice. I hate it. But at the same time, I can kind of see why they have to do it. So,
Yeah, I can't. All right, well, let's jump
they
into...
could just write good articles, so they won't have to do that.
All right, let's jump into our first feature, which is Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. We're finally talking about this game, so it's time to
Finally.
revisit one of the most beloved SNES memories, or our beloved SNES memories, with our latest game of Summer of the Year, 1995 nominee, the colourful and charming Yoshi's Island. Swinny, what are your initial thoughts on this game? What kind of tingles your little
Ooh.
mind berries?
I
Got
played this
lost in
game.
that sentence.
I played for this
Balls.
game. I played this game for the first time this week, man. This game's alright. Yeah, whatever. No, this
Sure.
game is very beloved. I never owned this game. Big thanks to Integot for constantly lending me this game when we were much
Champion.
younger.
What a champion.
And this game is glorious. Like, there's a lot I have to say about this game, so we'll get to it.
Yes. So, like, as you've just revealed, that I had a copy of this also. So we played this when it came out, which is like how old we are.
Yeah.
But Mike, have you now we can finally reveal.
Haha, the big reveal.
You are just playing this pretty much for the first time.
Absolutely the first.
And
Well, yeah.
you know, you failed to play through Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest.
I got
Such an
about
arsehole.
75% through. Thank you very much. 75% through. That's a
but
decent effort.
It's an 80-20 game. The hard part's the last
Yeah,
part.
but I
so-
don't have the kind of time that people had back then when that's pretty much the only game they had. You know, it wasn't like, oh
not
my
that
god,
long of
there's
a game.
50 games I can play.
genuinely
no, but
not
it's
that
a
long of a game.
difficult game. It's a difficult game in the
It
later
is hard.
part.
It
It,
is
takes
hard.
a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
hard.
trial.
All right,
to do it.
Yoshi's. Let's
So
back
back
Yes.
to Yoshi's Island. So, look, I actually enjoyed this. So I probably got about 50-60% of the way through based on what I saw by watching the rest of it on YouTube, because I actually did want to see the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it personally a lot more than I enjoyed Donkey Kong.
Are we calling this a fail, Swinny?
No, I just want to clarify.
Hey, you didn't play Full Throttle at all.
We
I
will.
did, quarter.
Let's try to avoid too many comparisons to Donkey Kong, because the whole point of this is
Yeah,
discussing
Yeah, I
the
know,
game.
because that
on
might give it away.
To-
That might give it away. Good point.
discussing the game on its
Yeah,
own merits.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when we get to
Yeah.
our deliberations, that'll
Yes.
be when we actually talk about the
Yeah.
two games together.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
but
No but in this whatsoever. No,
that's
no
the
buts. I
title of
think
the show.
he's-
Yes, but
Yes, but no, he has a very good point. So So I enjoyed this game. Now, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you guys did because of the fact that you played it way back when it was initially launched, I guess. And because you guys know that I'm not the biggest fan of these kind of platforming games. I like other types of, like Flashback, that kind of platforming game, if you could count it as that. And Metroidvania style kind of platforming games.
Well, it's not a platformer, but yeah, go on.
Well, it's not a platform, but it is really.
No.
It's you're still kind of a 2D navigating the world kind of thing. But yeah, if you know, again, I think it's purely based on the fact that you need to have experienced these things back then. I still appreciate it for what it is, other than the really, really, really annoying crying baby every time I would lose Mario. Man, after a while, like even my girlfriend's like, what the F is up with that baby constantly crying? Because obviously I lost him a lot. But that's probably like my main gripe, because the level design from what I played was really, really cool. I like the fact that it introduced a lot of different concepts. So as I'm playing it, it felt like there's always something new and different, whether it's you know, teleporting and becoming a different, like the mall, for example, and the elements it adds to that, whether Baby Mario gets the star and then gets to speed up everywhere. I love those elements. It was really cool and different, and there was always something new to look forward to. I also actually, for a good chunk at the start of the game, tried to get everything on the map. So I tried to get to fully complete everything at the end, which is kind of cool. So there is like a natural drive to want to do that stuff because the level design is pretty cool. And there were a few tricky parts where I'm like, how the hell are you supposed to kind of get to that quick enough and do this? So I actually quite enjoyed this game for what it is, even by today's standards. Of
For what it is, that's
well,
like a backhanded
no,
compliment.
because, well, it's
I
not.
know.
I'm not trying to make it a backhanded compliment. It's just that, again, people need to realize I'm certainly not hating on this game. I appreciate what this game did, but I wasn't born with these games. I didn't live these games when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I played
weren't
completely
born with
different
it either,
games.
but yeah.
No, but like you guys got to appreciate these at a certain age, when you weren't tainted by, 20 years of gaming since then, basically. Or is it even more than that? 1995. Holy moly, it's even more than that. So it's really hard to go back to something. And I'm not saying that it doesn't hold the test of time, because it absolutely
Well, you are
holds the
saying that.
test
You
of
are
time.
saying that.
No, it holds the test of time. I don't have the same, dare I say, rose tinted glasses as you guys do, because I didn't. And look, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I actually wish I could have experienced this when it came out. I would have loved this game. I would have absolutely loved this game. Same as Donkey Kong. If I had a SNES back then, oh my god, I reckon I would have had an awesome childhood.
I like how it's when he's like, don't mention Donkey Kong.
Well, no, I'm saying any of those games. They're awesome games.
This is like the ultimate backhanded compliment segment. It's like, oh, I'm sure this game would have been good if I played it back in the day.
Well, it is, because if you
kinda
guys
holds up,
played,
but it doesn't.
if you guys played the games that I played back in the day, like
Which we
Ultima
did.
8, it doesn't
I
hold
played
up.
Ultimate.
No,
I played Ultimate.
you didn't play Ultima 8. I don't think you guys have even
Fuck
barely
off.
seen
I-
screenshots of Ultima 8.
Okay, you're totally wrong.
You
I'm not
have?
saying I played Ultimate 8, but I've played one of the Ultimate.
No, I said
played a lot
Ultima
of it.
8.
Well,
Ultima 8
I
specifically,
don't know
I
if I
said.
played Ultimate 8. I'm checking now.
So Ultima 8 is one of my favorite games of all time. If you guys were to play it now, I don't think you'd
I
enjoy
think
it.
I played Ultimate 8, man. I think this
I
is
don't
the
think
actual
you'd
game
enjoy
that I
it,
played.
though.
No, I liked it back in the
I
day.
reckon you played 7. That was the big one that everyone played.
I don't think so. I'm looking. No, it definitely didn't look like this. It looked like Ultimate 8. I don't
Okay,
think they
awesome.
got different.
So-
but anyway.
I love that game to bits, but what I'm saying is, if you were to try to play it now, I don't know. I don't know if many people would be as into it. So, and look, this is just a personal opinion, obviously. I don't know how many people would play it now and any of these games and go, oh, this is the most amazing game ever. Like, genuinely saying that, not just saying it because they want to, give it credit for what it is. But yeah, so look, I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I thoroughly enjoyed the game, but I didn't enjoy it enough to want to go finish it.
Can we both simultaneously do like a side punch, Swinny? So both punch him in the head.
That
It's
one,
like, you gotta reach the other way. Douche, douche,
Well,
douche.
look, you want my? I could lie and say, oh, it was such an amazing experience. Absolutely loved it, but I can't.
I have a
to tell you the
button to
truth.
turn this into a 2-person podcast. I'm just about. All right,
So,
Swinny, do you
how
want
about
the...
people that actually have played the game thoroughly and
All right, so I'll just say, look, I probably should have brought up pre-show about, I guess, maybe how we run this, but I thought maybe we'd talk about some stuff we did like and some stuff we didn't like. Mike's obviously covered that all in one go, but it's not his fault. Like, I didn't
The didn't
mention
like,
it.
yeah, he did cover that.
No, I liked a lot of elements about it.
So basically, there's a lot of stuff I like in this game. Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
game is one of my favorite games of all time. Like, if I had a top 10, it's going to place pretty damn high in that top 10. Just this game, like, I just want to start with the mechanics, right? Because there's a lot in this game, but this game does stuff that just SNES games and 16-bit games just didn't do back then. Like, the whole egg mechanic is so genius. Like, it's so easy to pick up. And, you know, there's two control styles, but let's just say the one where you press the button and it starts the cursor, and you press it again to shoot, which I think is called patient, and the other one's hasty.
Yeah.
Where you hold it and then you
I
release
actually
it.
tried both, by the way.
But everything to do with the egg mechanic is just so genius. So the way they work into design is just... That's also saying, like, games didn't do this back then. It just added so many cool things to it. Even, like, skimming the eggs across the water. Like, the way it introduces and the way that it plays out in that level. I think it's the naval piranha fort, where you essentially learn about skimming eggs and you have to use that against the boss and things like that. Everything to do with the control of Yoshi with the fluttering and the ground pounds. Like, again, these aren't stuff that was really done back then. Generally, like, platformers, 16-bit platformers were just generally, okay, I've got a jump button, I've got a shoot button, and maybe I've got, like, one extra move. Like, adding an entire new mechanic where you're fluttering and, you know, staying up in the air and then you launch higher off another enemy. Just some of the mechanics are just amazing and just genius the way they added it in. Mike, you mentioned the transformations. To me, that's a cool way to add to change up the flow of the level. They're not all great. Some are cooler than others, which I'll get to when we talk about stuff that we don't like. But you mentioned I've thrown in some mechanics, but it's more like design. The 100%ing by getting like the 5 flowers, making sure you get 30 stars at the end and the 20 coins. As you said, you feel compelled to do it more than even like Donkey Kong Country 2. We talked about that last week, because like the sound effects they build into it and the fact that if you get 100% at the end of the level or you don't, it feels really like you feel like there's something missing if you don't get that like little music cue at the end. So it's just so many things to do with that. So I don't know if there's anything on there you want to touch on into that.
Yeah, look, like, my opening salvo is that, you know, Super Metroid is my favorite game of all time. It was about 2 years to develop that game on a similar sized team. Super Mario World was about 1.5 years, like, because it was backed up after Super Mario Brothers 2, which was a bit rushed, Super Mario World. This game was like 4 years in development.
Wow.
Right? And it shows.
It's a lot for back
Like,
then.
And it's fascinating. It's a fascinating reflection of Nintendo as well. It's like, you know, they felt that this game wouldn't stand up if it didn't have Super Mario World in the title. Like, which is fascinating to me. Like, I think this game totally stands up by itself, but kind of like they themselves didn't necessarily believe in it in a weird way. Like, a whole bunch of the dev team moved on to Mario 64 in the last year of development. But for me, like, that's sometimes where Nintendo does its best work, where, you know, the full attention, especially late game, isn't on the project, and they're sort of off doing their own thing, allowing them to be a bit experimental. And you can kind of see it in this game. It's very much like Link's Awakening as well. You know, very much almost like started as a port of Link to the Past, and then they sort of like literally just threw in stupid shit because they thought it was funny, and it, you know, blossomed from there. And this game, the amount of creativity in it, the different things you can do, you know, very like true to like that idea of like Nintendo being a place where they introduce a mechanic and then just throw it away. They're like, okay, we've done that 3 times in this level. You know, you get the point. You'll never see that again. And there's just so much cool shit like that in this game. Like secret worlds, secret levels, like, you know, World 4 with the monkeys, like late secret levels, just both drive me crazy, but also just like very iconic to me. And, you know, I know that you, like, it's interesting, Mike, because you haven't played this game, right? I don't think you're a massive platformer fan, but, you know, I can't say that the game would be awesome for someone who's just playing it, but that's how I feel about it, like, from the start. Like, I would 100% recommend this game as a game that people must play. Like, and it's not a long game either. But to me, it's a total must-play game. And you know, the other thing I just wanted to mention on just the art style and just how it's been executed, it's so fascinating how the dev team, you know, they're like, oh, what's this little company in the UK in this massive game, Donkey Kong Country? Like, what the hell are they doing over there? And they literally, like, they're total assholes at some point, Nintendo, in a lovable way that I am as well, I'd like to believe, is that they saw the style that they went for and they're like, fuck them. We're going to go the complete opposite style for them and go as hard as possible in this tune style, this cartoon style that they've gone through for. And
hand-drawn kind of
yeah,
style.
and to me, it's just looks like, it looks unreal.
Unique. It stands
Like,
out.
you take this game and then take any game released the next year when, like, Mario, you know, like Nintendo 64, PlayStation is out. This game shits all over those games today, you know, if you're talking about, you know, comparing. And I don't think that's rose-tinted view. I think people, if anything, go back to the original, like, 3D generation, PlayStation, Saturn, 64, and go, wow, these games look really bad, actually. Like,
Well, yeah, but
the way
that
I
was a whole
thought
new
of it was-
generation.
Sure, but
of
I mean, but I'm saying
polygon-based.
this to me is not rose-tinted glasses. This is like, if you play these games on like a CRT in particular, of like what they were designed to be played on, right? With the understanding of that technology and the shading that can happen and everything.
Yeah.
It just like, it fucking holds up. This is to me like a
No.
Beatles album, man. This
No,
is
I
like,
get you. I know.
it's not the current style, but it holds up, man. It's like, I'm kind of in agreement with Swinny. Like, for me, honestly, if I don't consider this in the Mario series, I don't know if you do, Swinny, just because
It's
it's
called
called
different to me than Mario, just because it's called that, yeah.
yeah, it's the Yoshi series, right? But I think this is the only, to me, like, this is on a pinnacle and the rest are just in its shadow. But honestly, if it wasn't the Mario series, man, this might be, like, if I had to pick one Mario game, this might be close to being it. Like, that's how much I love this game. It is an amazing game. And very little of it, like, I can actually kind of add to in the next part of the segment, which is, like, what we didn't like, other than the funny thing that Mike said at the start with the crying baby Mario, which does shit me, but it's intentionally meant to be annoying. But it is very grating. Like, I feel like if they just had a sound that wasn't as extreme, it would be a little bit more pleasant.
Yeah, no, I want to mention some stuff I like about this game still.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay, go
like we've been waited so long to talk about this fucking
That's
game.
true. We haven't spoken about
I
this.
am
Crazy.
like, this game is embedded in my heart,
Yeah.
basically. Like this game. So I'll look. There's a lot I won't bring up because we just don't have the time. But to me, this game is just the details. This game has so much charm and so much heart. It just goes the extra mile. And you said, like, it was a long time in development, so they had more time probably than other games. But it's those little touches, like the fact that when you hit the egg blocks, the eggs don't land in the same spot each time.
Yeah.
Just things you don't probably think about, but just naturally just add to this experience of it just being something special. You know, like there's mud in the game, and if you land on the mud, it like makes this squelching sound, but then it also prevents you from accelerating instantly. It's these control things that, you know, these little touches. Just so much thoughtful design was put into this game that it's almost on another level for me. Like, I can't think of another SNES game that I think just from a design standpoint, just comes close to this game to me. Like, it is just crazy. Now, obviously, it's hard to compare a game with Super Metroid to something that's Yoshi's Island. But this game is just something else. It really is.
Yeah, look, I don't want to get into the, like, Super Metroid versus Yoshi Island, but, like, I would only just say, like, I feel like they're in that same category of, like, the lived-in world, and then, for me, near-perfect execution of what they're trying to do, right? Whereas, you know, and Link to the Past, I love that game so much. Again, like, maybe my favorite Zelda game, like, depends on the day you ask me, right? But there are parts of that game that are, like, that are a little bit clunky and just like I don't love with a passion, and I find it a bit like I could take it or leave it. Whereas Yoshi's Island, like when I got the SNES Classic when it got released, I'm like, cool, you know, like it's a real fun official way to relive a lot of these games that I've played many times, right? And fuck me, I just started playing Yoshi's Island. I didn't play anything else. I literally didn't play anything else. I 100%ed it all the way up to like World 5, and I'm like, I got to play other games on this SNES Classic. But I mean, like, I didn't feel bad about it. I think I just played like Super Metroid straight after it. Right? Just sticking to games I love, but yeah, man, it's such a good game.
But, you know, look, it's not a perfect game. You know, no game is perfect. For me, like, the screen scrolling sometimes can screw you over because it just acts a bit weird where you don't actually see what's below you because you've gone a bit too far in a certain direction. Some levels can drag on and feel a bit samey, especially, like, in the same world. Sometimes, like, the jungle world, a lot of those levels do blend into one for me. But, like, when you sit down and look at them, they are quite different. But the feeling sometimes is a bit samey. There are a few levels that I don't like Poochie Ain't Stupid. Like, that's the extra bonus level of World 1. I've never liked that level. It's hard as bones. It's
Oh, you really
memorable.
find it that hard? Interesting.
Poochie Ain't Stupid to me is just can go get stuff. But other than that level, like, generally, like, all the levels are good. There are some things like the mole transformation, like the controls on that are
They're a
just...
bit chunky, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things where I just never fully understood it. It's just not very intuitive to me. Like, half the time I end up going backwards and I'm like, why did that happen?
Because you're blind like a mole. Jeez.
Yeah, and just, look, there's some enemy encounters that can get frustrating. You know, any of the bandits that steal Mario, like, especially when they chuck a whole bunch of them. And it's challenging, but it's also like, God damn it, I just got 30 stars and now I've got, you know, things. But even, like, I'm not going to say Baby Mario crying is a bad thing because I actually think it drives the player so much to go get Mario. Because originally, they actually were going to make it where Mario just crawls on the ground if the enemy hits you or whatever. But what they realize is they really need want people to go after him.
The urgency.
Like, they're like, okay, this is because you're protecting this baby. So it's an annoying sound, but I'm not going to say it's bad because it drives you. It's like, God damn it, I need to get Mario. This is not going to shut up.
Yeah,
so.
but you know, my counterpoint to that is Metal Gear Solid, right? So you go, you know, the emergency tone of when you've been discovered. Like, that is like, that totally drives a sense of urgency for me. It's like, fuck, all right, I gotta hide. Where's a cardboard box, right? But that tone and alert and the way they made that sound and the sound design for it doesn't make me go, oh my God, I hate this.
Yeah.
Like, over time. So I mean, I get what you're saying. I still think that is an annoying part. And you know, just on the controls, the one time that I really don't like I feel like the game's clunky is where you do lose Mario, Baby Mario. And it feels like you're fighting the game a bit with like where you're moving, where the camera's moving, where Baby Mario is going. Like, to the point where it's like, I remember back in the day, and even when I've replayed it recently, it's like I'll try to shoot an egg or do something, and it just like doesn't work the way that I feel like it should. Like, I feel like I'm fighting the game a little bit, but I don't have very much on the don't like list, to be fair.
Yeah. But look, oh, Mike, you can add more to you don't like lists.
Just no. Hey, again, I should probably clarify my thoughts because I guess I don't express myself properly sometimes.
You hate the game.
I think it's a great game. I think it's an absolutely brilliant game, and I wish that I had played it back when it came out. Unfortunately, I've been tainted by all these years of playing other games that my journey of what I find enjoyable in gaming is different. But I can't, at the same time, I still appreciate it for what it is. I absolutely do. And I think I also need to put into the context of what was around back then, especially if you look at what was around for SNES. And I can easily see, based on all the other games that I've seen on the SNES, as Swinny said, it is an amazing game for the platform. Like, arguably, I'm not going to say this, but arguably the best game of the platform for a hell of a lot of people. So yeah, look, don't take it the wrong way. I do totally appreciate the game. The one thing that I didn't appreciate as much is a tiny little gripe I have, which is the Pachinko inspired bonuses you can get at the end of some of the levels, where you have to scratch a lotto card, or I find that they're clearly inspired by that part of the Japanese culture, I guess. That as someone who you know has kids that I'm trying to protect, I just think encouraging a young audience to get into that mindset of being rewarded by that kind of stuff is freaking dangerous to some extent. That I personally, you know, if I was a game developer now, I definitely wouldn't include shit like that. But hey, you know, people have microtransactions and loot boxes and stuff like that nowadays, so it's no different.
It's very common for Nintendo games back in the day to have that.
Like,
Yeah, I've
you had
noticed
a
that,
slot
yeah.
machine bonus.
Yeah. slot
Mario,
machine shit,
Wario, the Wario Land game.
I think they're creepy when you look at
Yeah,
it
I get it.
in that sense, but whatever. It's like it's a minor gripe in that sense.
And I feel like, Swinny, there's so many other things that we're not going to talk about that we could.
And
Like-
I know.
Like what?
Like the fact that there's like a drug level in this
oh,
game.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
That is like insane. It's like
It's like the
literally a
third-
drug psychedelic
like-
level.
it's like the third or
I'm
fifth
trying to
level of the game or
remember.
something. It's get
Yeah,
hit
1-7. Touch fuzzy,
hit-
get dizzy.
touch fuzzy, get dizzy, and stuff like that. Anyway, I've got some final thoughts. I don't know if we want to get
Oh,
to wrap it up.
Didn't even realize those drugs.
No surprise that I absolutely adore this game. To me, this is definitely like hyperbole, but it's like, to me, the designer's game is like a love letter to games. Like it's it was like the swan song of that 16-bit
Yeah.
era, where it blended the 16-bit with modern design that would probably you'd start to see appear in the 32-bit games and everything. The game isn't perfect, but to me, its failures are graceful, and its failures are cut above probably the rest. You know, like even what it doesn't do well, it's still doing way better than its contemporaries. So, yeah, huge game for me from 1995.
Well, let's do this as a shit sandwich. So let's let Mike shit on the game, and then I'll close it out
No.
with a nice little complimentary piece. So go on, Mike.
I have nothing to shit on.
Well, you got your final thoughts. What are your final
No,
thoughts?
my final thoughts are I enjoyed the experience for what time I had with it, and I really appreciate it in the context of when the game came out. It's a really good game.
Yeah, my final thoughts is that this is a good example of like, hey, no game's perfect, but this game's pretty damn close. And you know, it's this game, Super Metroid, you know, a few other games like Link to the Past. I still find it very hard to give up my idea that the Super Nintendo, which is, by the way, not the console I first kind of grew up with, which was more the NES, but that the Super Nintendo is like not the best console of all time. Like I just, you know, these type of games just absolutely, to me, 100% still hold up to this day. And, you know, like I'm really intrigued to see more people play this game for the first time and hear what they think about it. Because, yeah, like I feel like if you like platformers, I just can't even see that much fault in this game. Outside of, yeah, some of the things that Swinny said, some people probably find the levels a little bit too long, but yeah, I don't know. It's just such an awesome game, man. The art, I've been listening to the OST all week, and it's just like, it both brings back memories to, like, I feel like it's a bit of an underrated portion of the game. Like the sound and like some of the actual, like even the first levels sound and music is just so freaking awesome. And just executing this, you know, toy box sound is just incredible.
It fits the game like a glove, even if, you know, some of it can get a little repetitive. It fits everything so well.
That is like literally the only criticism I have for the music. It's just not enough music.
Yeah.
Like when I listened to the OST, I was kind of going, okay, yeah, like 1.5 hours or something. It's like 36 minutes.
Whoa.
I was like, damn, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of very atmospheric at times.
Koji Kondo was a bit lazy that week. You know, he didn't chuck enough tracks out.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the only thing that I could say that, like, I don't think the music's bad. It's just not enough music, like, in the grand scheme of it.
It's
But
good, but just not enough of it.
yes, but I like look, you know, I've got a betting market around GOSOY 95, and you know, if you want to throw some cash at this game, it's a pretty good bet. But
Yeah, it is a pretty good bet because I basically don't have
You hate this
proper saying four out of the.
what do you mean you don't have a proper say? You do. You have the
Because I
deciding
didn't really
vote.
pick 4 out of the 6 games.
Yeah, I don't say
I
that.
didn't
One of them I
I
reluctantly
say
didn't
that.
pick 2 of them, so
fucking did
we'll
pick.
get
You
there.
did
We'll
pick.
get there. We'll get
I guess
there.
I picked Chrono Trigger.
We all
didn't I?
picked together. We all picked together. Don't you dare. Don't you fucking dare.
And we've got a special, super awesome segment now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to close
hear
out the show, I, Integot, am going to show how I will save Sony.
Well, before you get there,
That's awesome.
I've got my sexy pitch for this, right? It's
Oh,
very quick,
oh,
right?
okay.
And how I'm going to save
Oh,
Sony.
Oh,
First step, get Apple to buy Nintendo.
Okay.
never
Second step, get Disney to buy Apple.
Okay.
Third step, then you get Tencent to buy Disney.
Okay. Yep.
And fourth step, you get
like
Sony to buy Kemco. There you go.
I like it. I like it. I
4
want to see
steps
that on the
to
whiteboard.
success.
So yes, you know, Sony, you know, feel free, take this as free advice from me. In 10-ish minutes, I'll pitch how I will save Sony. So, you you know, in every good pitch deck, you know, you got to start with what the hell you're doing. What's the purpose of the pitch deck? And, you know, this is all about strategy. This is centered on strategy. So I'm going to cover two, like, very core things in strategy. And I should call it out, strategy versus tactics. Tactics, that's just, you know, go buy Square Enix, go buy EA. That's a tactic. That's not a strategy.
And if anyone...
Yeah,
Sorry, if anyone's listening to this audio, like, you're going to miss out on the presentation. So please watch it on the YouTube
we got
clip.
a picture of Mike Tyson, and the quote is, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, we won't play the game of like reading out everything on the screen. I think you're right, Swinny. This is one of the instances where, you know, if you're listening to it on the podcast, probably stop and click on the link in the description. You go to the video podcast version. I think it's critical for this presentation, given that it's visual. But yeah, so like my first point is strategy versus tactics. Like I'm talking about strategy. What is your competitive advantage? What are the macro factors? What are the resources at your disposal versus tactics? It's just like, oh, what can you do right now? Like, oh, getting an exclusive deal for the next Final Fantasy game. Great. That's not a strategy. That's a short-term thing. So like I'm very much focused on strategy and focused on two very key concepts in strategy. So you like don't... Oh, I pressed the button when I shouldn't have. Sorry.
What is on the show next week?
No, there, I saved it. I was thinking that I've got a button control to turn the slides.
Wow,
I'm thinking that's how advanced it is.
Was that a tactical mistake or a strategic mistake?
We'll talk about tactical mistakes as in GameSpot, and I'm calling you out GameSpot in this stupid article about Sony buying EA, or like, oh, what if Sony bought EA? This is like taking a knife to a gunfight, taking a knife to a bazooka fight. Sony is like a 50th the size of Microsoft. If Sony goes down the path of buying studios, they're going to fuck themselves. Because if they buy one big studio or one big publisher, like Ubisoft, let's just say, or Square, that gives almost carte blanche access for Microsoft to say, oh, great, we'll just buy the rest. Because now you've opened up the argument that people will go, oh, you know, Sony's doing it, so like Microsoft's just doing whatever they want as well. And it's pretty hard to argue from a competitive perspective. So it makes zero sense for Microsoft to do that. So you're not going to see that in what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is strategy.
Oh, the ancient dragon.
So the first component of strategy that I'm talking about is it's actually a biblical story. It's in the book of Samuel. And it's this idea of a Philistine giant called Goliath who was defeated by a young David. Now, how is this possible when you have Goliath, who's huge, strong, full of armor, got a javelin, all these kind of things, against this weak David with no armor, nothing?
Did David have COVID?
No. The key here is that David used his strengths, his unique set of skills, right, in this component that he can actually beat Goliath. So David, what did he do? He was a shepherd for many, many years. So he honed... Go on.
I can tell you haven't played Dark Souls 2 by using this image. The Ancient Dragon's a friendly character.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I just wanted the visual. I just Googled what's the biggest Dark Souls character.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Did he train
going back to it, so
bunch of sheep too?
This is a yes but on both of your accounts now. So definitely the show's called Yes But. But so David, going back to David, you know, he's shepherd, and you know how would he ward off predators? Well, he would sling rocks at them. So he honed this skill. So when he was in armed conflict with Goliath, he chose not to engage in hand-to-hand combat, not to, you know, go up into the fisticuffs of David, but to hang back, to use his speed to run away from Goliath, and to grab a stone and hurl it into Goliath's head, and then chopping his head off in the biblical story, which is very dark.
Wow, that's a little extreme.
It's literally what is in the Bible. So, you know, my argument here is you know, from a strategy point of view, it makes no sense to fight Microsoft. They got like $2 trillion market cap, where Sony is $0.1 trillion market cap. It's just an idiotic like process. So very much, you know, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, okay, like what are the strengths of Sony? What can they do? So the other component of strategy that I'm looking at is a Latin phrase, amicus meus, inimicus inimici me, which translates into my friend, the enemy of my enemy.
I knew it.
That artwork is...
It's brilliant.
So my other component of the strategic vision that I have for what Sony could do to defeat Goliath Microsoft is they need to look at the landscape. So they're looking at, like, what are my strengths? How can I defeat Microsoft in, the way that I can win fights? Then the other component is, well, who hates Microsoft as well? Who actually could I join with? So my view is not, hey, we could buy something. That's dumb. Like, you're always going to lose that battle against Microsoft. They've got deep pockets. My view is, who can you partner with? Who can you get in bed with? Who can complement you? So, I had a very long list. First I started with the Zuck, huge company. But, don't think it really makes sense. Like, everyone hates the Zuck, and the alignment with games, I think ultimately doesn't really make sense. And you're getting this, mismatch of sizes, kind of looking out in the market, thinking about, natural competitors of Microsoft. I thought of Netflix, they're both pushing into that streaming space. I could imagine Netflix is a bit nervous about what Microsoft's doing. Who knows? Game Pass, maybe it'll be Movie Pass next. The other person that I thought, and the other entity, Google, well, no, they're hopeless. I got to move on from them very quickly. Then I come across this man, and it did make me think. So on the screen, I have Shohei Yoshida. So if you don't know who this person is, he's currently the head of the indie effort at Sony, but he's actually now, well, previously was the first party studios head. So, looking after all the big studios that are really driving some of the competitive advantage that Sony has. And, kind of got me thinking some of the stuff that this guy's been saying recently. And it got me thinking. It got integot thinking about some stuff. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think like a single image tells me anything or what's going to happen, but this image really does stick with me. This idea of God of War on a Steam Deck, more and more PlayStation games coming to Steam.
I see where this
enemy
is going.
Of my enemy is my friend. And I'm thinking, Steam, okay, very PC-centric. Don't really care about the console. Sony, very console-centric. Don't really care about the PC, but both parties kind of look at the other and go, we don't want to lose our advantage in PC. Like, we're the big dogs in PC. We make billions of dollars every year, and, we don't want people buying games on Epic Game Store or the Microsoft Store. So, we're keeping our eye on this Game Pass thing. This could really hurt our business. And we don't want to make it portable that just becomes a portable Game Pass machine that we're paying and losing money on every hardware unit and not getting the money on the other side. And PlayStation, they're like Sony, like the PlayStation business is more than 1/3 of all of Sony now. It's like a cash cow, but also, very alarming for PlayStation to lose its position. So it just got me thinking, and I'm like, I could see a world where Sony and Valve get together and say, we're going to work together. We're going to bring our worlds closer together to ward off the competitors. And my view is, why not? Why couldn't you have this? You could have potentially a subscription service combining some of the best Valve and Sony libraries, having day one exclusives on PlayStation 5 and PC, having cloud saving between the two, and you have this massive library of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games, and PlayStation 3 games. Imagine if you could bring a bunch of these on Steam directly and vice versa on the PlayStation, portably on the Steam Deck, and then maybe even a light version of Steam itself on the PlayStation 5. And the future of Sony could potentially be to be in bed with Valve and Steam. So that is my pitch to Save Sony. This is my idea.
I like it.
Any questions? Any challenges?
Yeah, I still
any
don't
flaws?
get the analogy with David and Goliath.
Oh, shut up. No,
But that's okay. Other than that, I think it's flawless.
I've got a couple of things though. First of all, this is assuming that Sony needs saving, right? They're obviously very, very well established.
Well, to be fair though, they did lose like 20% of their market cap in a single day, like when the announcement happened. So
also the question of the enemy is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Valve has actually been pretty in the past actually worked very well with Microsoft and actually been very complimentary, if that's not complimentary, but like they're actually like praising them in the past. So now obviously that's front versus behind the scenes. So I was just for Valve to be considered an enemy Microsoft is just a bit of a weird concept, but I do like the pitch though.
Yeah, but I would say that it was easy for Valve to be very friendly with Microsoft when they need Microsoft. If Microsoft said, hey, Steam, we don't like what they're doing on their platform, something about it is a bit dodgy, so you can no longer install Steam on Windows, right? Like their business goes like almost under straight away, right? It's massive for them. So I get what you're saying, but it is in their interest, in their corporate interest, to be cool with Sony. They've got way more to lose. Sorry, with Microsoft. They've got way more to lose than vice versa, right? And this is also prior to a world of like Microsoft executing well in the game distribution space on
And they
Windows,
still
even though
aren't.
they own it.
So
They are like, no, but it's changing with Windows 11, dude. Like they're building in,
Hopefully.
basically they're building in Xbox into Windows 11 at a first world level, right? So there is a possibility people look at it and go, oh, Minecraft, yeah, I can buy that there. And then, you know, it grows out of there, Game Pass. So like as friendly as they might be, like honestly, from a corporate level, they are an enemy, 100%. They're probably the number one enemy of like Steam, Valve now. So
Amazing pitch. Love the graphics. At some point, I thought you were going to say that getting the Ashen Mist heart off the Ancient Dragon was going to be the way to save Sony, but you swerved me there. So I appreciate that. Dark Souls 2 inclusion.
But-
Very well. I love
very
it.
cool. I loved it. Yeah, and I love the presentation itself, the graphics, and the for podcast readers, please check it out. on YouTube.
podcast readers. Can we
Well, listeners,
maybe we
I'm
should
really
call the
tired.
show podcast readers to the podcast readers. All right,
Yes,
well,
but podcast readers.
Oh, right at the
I was
end of the
actually
episode.
I was hoping you guys would attack me more for this thing. So
No, I think it's cool. I think
I-
think it's awesome that you took the time to actually do something like this.
I think it's awesome.
Sony
I
needs
don't
it.
know if it's enough, but
enough. What do you mean?
as in, I think Sony might. They could probably do some more partnerships, but I think this is a great one to
Well,
kick things off.
I just think it's like a left field thing. I think it's like,
Yeah.
I look, I haven't seen someone talk about it. I haven't seen someone put it out there in the universe. So, you know, future people, when Sony and Valve have announced this massive partnership, and then they go, some weird dude on the internet predicted this and laid out the idea. Well, I'm gonna say, I told you so. You're never gonna hear the end of "I told you so."
God, if that happened, you were going to be the most unsufferable person to be around for
Oh,
like
man.
6 months.
I think we need to not do a podcast for 6 months.
I'm gonna change my name to the Sony Valve guy.
To the profits.
Yeah, hear my future pitches. I'll have them on Patreon as exclusive episodes. All right, cool. All right, well, let's wrap up the show. So I'm going to go back to my notes now. Next week, we have Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah.
I'm flagging this right now. I might be struggling to hit the Earthbound timing, but we'll have to chat about that offline. But yeah, I'm like right at the end of Chrono Trigger. So like many thoughts. And like it's similar to Mike. This is the first time I've played it. I missed this game, even though this is considered by many not only the best SNES game ever, the best game ever. So it's been very interesting
Wow.
playing it. Anything else we're covering in the show next week, Swinay?
Nothing off the top of my head.
RPG golf?
Now you're saying RPG.
Well,
Golf.
I don't know. I don't know what the
No, I am the RP golf dude. You are the RPG ulf dude. And
No,
Swinny
I
is
just
the
said-
pronouncing it
He
properly
says
dude.
both. No, he says both.
No, I just messed it up last week. You don't say the G. Come on.
So you don't say
RPG golf.
Wait, you
No,
say
no, I'm
RP
just saying.
golf?
I reckon it's RP golf is the best way to say it.
I know
It's
how you meant to
RPG
say
golf.
it. I now know how you meant to say it. Role-playing golf legend.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it's settled.
Fair enough.
It's settled. All right. Well,
I'm not
with
gonna
that,
say that.
with that, bye-bye.
Ciao.
See ya.
Later.